12 hidden signs she's begging you to make a move. Psychology tricks. Have you ever had that strange moment of realization, days or even weeks later, when it suddenly hits you that she may have been waiting for you to ask her out, and by the time you understood it, the opportunity had already slipped away? Many good men experience this quiet frustration. Modern dating can feel confusing because the signals are rarely spoken out loud. As the writer Victor Hugo once said, "The greatest happiness of life is the conviction that we are loved." Yet in real life, that feeling is often communicated through subtle gestures rather than clear words. Today's dating culture adds another layer of uncertainty. On the surface, we hear constant conversations about independence, equality, and self-sufficiency, and those changes are real and important. Women build careers, lead companies, and shape their own lives in ways previous generations could only dream of. But while culture evolves quickly, the deeper psychology of attraction tends to move much more slowly. Human instincts developed over thousands of years don't suddenly disappear just because social expectations change. This is where many men become stuck in their own thoughts. You may hear someone say, "If he really liked me, he would just know." And that leaves you wondering how anyone is supposed to interpret that. After all, mind reading is not exactly a skill most men possess. The result? Hesitation, doubt, endless overthinking. And because of that hesitation, many promising connections quietly fade before they even have a chance to begin. What research in evolutionary psychology consistently suggests is that, in the early stages of attraction, many women still respond strongly to a man who shows initiative. Not pressure, not arrogance, simply the courage to step forward and express interest. There is an important distinction here. Initiative is about clarity and confidence, not control. It's about being willing to take a small emotional risk rather than waiting forever for perfect certainty. For many women, that moment of initiative carries a deeper emotional meaning. It signals that the man truly notices them, that he has chosen them intentionally, and that he is confident enough to act on what he feels. Being chosen, being seen and desired, remains a powerful emotional experience, no matter how modern the world becomes. But here is the challenge. Very few people say these things directly anymore. Instead of speaking openly, people communicate through small signals, hints, and subtle behaviors. A lingering glance, a playful conversation, a little extra attention that goes just slightly beyond normal politeness. These signals may seem small, but they often carry meaning. And if you don't recognize them, the moment can quietly pass you by. 1. Proximity. Proximity is one of the simplest yet most powerful signals a woman can send, and surprisingly, many men overlook it because they assume it is just coincidence. It rarely is. When a woman is interested, she naturally places herself near you more often than necessary. Not once, repeatedly. You begin to notice a pattern. At work, her break somehow happens at the same time as yours. At a gathering, she chooses to stay in your corner of the room instead of wandering back to her friends. At the gym, she picks the machine right next to you even though several others are available. This is not random behavior. It is subtle communication, one of those quiet psychology tricks that operates beneath the surface of conversation. Women are extremely aware of physical space. When they want distance from a man, they create it immediately. They check their phone. They turn their body away. They move to another area. That is female psychology in action. But when a woman feels comfortable and curious about you, the opposite happens. She closes the distance. She positions herself within your environment. That is the signal. Research in nonverbal communication consistently shows that proximity is one of the strongest subconscious indicators of attraction. People instinctively move closer to those they feel emotionally drawn to. You must understand this clearly. Don't dismiss it as chance. Don't assume she is simply being polite. Be aware. That is one of the most overlooked psychology tricks in human interaction. When a woman repeatedly places herself within your personal space, she is making it easier for you to start a conversation. She is lowering the barrier. She is giving you an opening. And this connects directly to female psychology and how attraction often unfolds quietly before words are even spoken. Many relationships begin not with dramatic gestures, but with small, repeated moments of closeness that invite connection. Think of proximity as the silent introduction to how to fall in love. It creates familiarity. Familiarity creates comfort. Comfort allows attraction to grow naturally. That is why understanding these psychology tricks matters so much. They reveal what people rarely say out loud. If you see her consistently choosing to be near you, treat that as meaningful information. Don't overthink it. Be calm. Be respectful. Start a simple conversation. That is all it takes. Often the difference between a missed opportunity and the beginning of something special is simply recognizing the quiet signals of female psychology and responding with confidence. Proximity may look small on the surface, but in the language of attraction, it speaks loudly about interest, curiosity, and the subtle early steps in how to fall in love. 2. Eye contact. Now let's talk about eye contact. This one is powerful, quiet, subtle, but incredibly revealing if you know how to read it. A woman rarely says everything out loud. Often, her eyes do the talking long before her words ever will. So pay attention. If she looks at you, looks away, and then looks again, that's not accidental. That is a pattern. And patterns matter. Attraction often hides inside small, repeated behaviors. The first glance might be curiosity. The second glance is interest. But when a third glance appears, especially with a soft smile, that is something entirely different. That is an invitation without words. Many men miss this moment because they overthink it. Don't. Be observant instead. A man who understands subtle signals moves through the world with calm confidence. That is part of what makes a high-value man so appealing. He does not chase blindly, but he also does not hesitate when the signal is clear. If you catch her watching you more than once, that is not coincidence. People naturally look toward what attracts their attention. And when attraction is involved, the eyes return again and again almost automatically. It's human nature. That is why eye contact is one of the oldest and most reliable signals in human psychology. Now pay attention to the quality of that eye contact. Is it cold and brief or soft and warm? There is a big difference. When a woman maintains warm eye contact, even just a second longer than usual, she is allowing emotional space to form between you. Studies on attraction consistently show that prolonged eye contact increases feelings of emotional connection and desire. Two people holding each other's gaze create a silent conversation that words cannot replicate. And here is the important part. Women do not hold that kind of soft, relaxed eye contact with men they feel nothing for. They simply don't. So when it happens repeatedly, you must recognize it for what it is, a signal. But remember this. Don't stare aggressively. Don't rush. Be calm. Return the gaze with quiet confidence. Smile slightly. That is how masculine energy shows itself, not through pressure, but through presence. A grounded man creates comfort, not tension. If she smiles after that eye contact, that is basically a green light. It's her way of saying, yes, you can come closer. Not loudly, not dramatically, but clearly enough for a man who is paying attention. You must understand something important here. Attraction often grows in small moments like this. A glance, a smile, a pause. These tiny signals are how people test emotional safety before anything bigger happens. And a high-value man knows how to read these moments and respond naturally. So don't ignore eye contact. Don't dismiss it as random. It is one of the simplest ways to attract women because connection always begins with attention. When you meet her gaze calmly, when your masculine energy stays relaxed and confident, you create the space where curiosity can grow into attraction. Watch the eyes. They rarely lie. And sometimes, they're quietly asking you to make the next move. If you understand this signal, you already know what most men miss. Eye contact isn't random. It's communication without words. When she looks away, and then looks back with a smile, that's not hesitation, that's an invitation. Don't ignore it. Notice it. Act on it. A man who understands these moments creates opportunities instead of wondering, what if? So if this message resonates with you, drop this line in the comments right now. I recognize the signal and I take the move. Like the video, subscribe for more timeless wisdom on attraction and confidence. And remember, the man who sees the signal is the man who leads the moment. 3. Conversation. Conversation is one of the most overlooked signals of attraction, yet it is often the clearest invitation a man will ever receive if he has the awareness to recognize it. A woman rarely announces interest directly. Instead, she opens small doors. Simple lines appear casual on the surface. How was your weekend? You seem busy lately. I saw your story. You always dreamed about that. Many men dismiss these as polite small talk. That is a mistake. These are openings, opportunities, quiet invitations waiting for a confident response. She is creating space for connection without putting herself fully at risk. Remember this principle from old Stoic wisdom. The wise man observes the small signals others ignore. She is not trying to look desperate. She is not trying to chase. She simply creates the moment and watches what you do with it. And what you do next matters more than you think. If your reply stays short, safe, and closed, she reads it as disinterest. Conversation ends. Momentum disappears. But when you move the interaction forward, when you build on her opening, you demonstrate clarity, direction, leadership. For example, instead of answering, "It was good," you expand the moment. "It was great, actually. I've been wanting to check out that new place downtown. You should join me." Now something important happens. She feels relief. The pressure disappears because you took the step she was hoping for. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. In modern life, this applies directly to dating and communication. Do not analyze endlessly. Do not hesitate until the moment fades. Act with calm decisiveness. Attraction grows when momentum exists. Without movement, curiosity slowly cools. Women often evaluate interest through these small conversational tests, not dramatic moments, small ones, quick exchanges. If she opens the door and you hesitate repeatedly, doubt quietly replaces excitement. She may start wondering if you lack confidence or if you simply are not interested. And here is the truth. Confidence is rarely loud. Confidence is decisiveness. Confidence is forward motion. Studies on attraction repeatedly show that people respond strongly to those who take clear action instead of lingering in uncertainty. This is where Stoicism becomes practical in modern relationships. Stoic philosophy teaches control of hesitation and mastery of response. Develop what the ancients called an iron mind, a calm mind that sees the opportunity and moves without fear. Not aggressively, not recklessly, simply clearly. A man guided by old Stoic wisdom does not wait for perfect certainty. He creates clarity through action. He listens carefully, recognizes the opening, and moves the conversation forward with purpose. That is how connections grow. That is how opportunities become real experiences. And that is why men with an iron mind quietly stand out in modern dating. They do not chase endlessly. They do not freeze in doubt. They recognize the door when it opens, and they step through it. 4. Attention to detail. Attention to detail is one of the quiet signals many men overlook, yet it is one of the clearest windows into female psychology. Pay attention to this. If a woman remembers a small detail you mentioned weeks ago, that is not an accident, and it is not casual politeness. That is attention. That is interest. Think about it carefully. Conversations pass quickly in everyday life. People meet dozens of others, and most of what is said disappears within minutes. But when a woman stores a detail about you and brings it up later, something different is happening in her mind. Maybe you once mentioned your favorite drink in passing, and later she smiles and says, "You're the guy who likes that coffee, right?" That is not random memory. That is emotional focus. Maybe you briefly talked about a project you were working on, and days later she asks, "How did that thing you were building turn out?" That is not small talk. That is investment. In female psychology, attention follows attraction. Women do not fill their mental space with details about men they feel nothing toward. They remember what matters to them. That is one of the subtle psychology tricks of attraction many men fail to notice. So do not ignore it. Be aware. Be present. When she remembers small things about you, understand what it means, she continued thinking about you after the conversation ended. The connection did not stop when you walked away. Her mind returned to that moment. This is how emotional curiosity begins, and it is one of the early stages of how to fall in love. As the writer Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. When a woman remembers details about you, it often means the interaction made her feel something positive, something memorable. That is why she recalls it. So do not dismiss it as coincidence. Notice the pattern. If she remembers your favorite drink, your hobby, your weekend plan, or a random story you told, she is paying attention in a way most people do not. That is a sign. That is female curiosity at work. And here is the important part. Do not hesitate when you see this. Many men overthink these moments and miss opportunities because they wait for obvious signals that rarely come. Instead, understand the quiet language of attraction. These small acts of memory are powerful psychology tricks rooted deeply in female psychology, and they often appear when a connection is beginning to form. So be confident. Respond with warmth. Continue the conversation. Show interest back. Because when two people begin remembering the little things about each other, that is often the beginning of how to fall in love. 5. Effort. Effort is another powerful signal. Do not overlook it. Pay attention. When a woman knows she will see you and suddenly makes extra effort in how she looks, that is rarely accidental. That is intention speaking through small actions. Maybe she fixes her hair the moment you walk into the room. Maybe she straightens her posture, lifts her shoulders, and suddenly seems a little more aware of how she carries herself. Maybe she casually applies lip gloss while talking to someone else, but glances at you in the reflection. Maybe she even changes outfits before attending a gathering where she knows you will be present. These things may appear small. They're not small. They're signals. Attraction naturally triggers grooming behavior. That is biology. That is human nature. Both men and women do it without thinking. When people feel drawn to someone, their mind quietly says, "Look your best. Stand taller. Fix your hair. Smooth your clothes. Adjust your appearance." It is an instinct that runs deeper than logic. But here is the important detail. You must notice the pattern. If she does these things specifically when you are around, that is meaningful. That is not random behavior. That is attention directed at you. A high-value man understands this. He observes before he reacts. He reads the room. He notices subtle shifts in energy. If her behavior changes when you appear, if her grooming suddenly becomes more deliberate, you are seeing attraction at work. Do not ignore it. Do not overanalyze it. Recognize it for what it is, a quiet invitation for attention. Now be clear. Effort is not just about makeup or clothing. It is about presence. When a woman wants to attract women, or rather attract a specific man, she becomes more aware of how she presents herself in that moment. Her voice may soften. Her smile may linger longer. Her movements become slightly more graceful. These are natural signals shaped by emotion and interest. Be calm when you notice it. Do not rush. But do not hesitate either. A high-value man moves with awareness. He understands that masculine energy is not loud or forceful. It is confident, steady, and observant. When you see effort directed toward you, acknowledge it internally. That is a green light to engage. That is a signal that she cares about how she appears in your presence. Remember this. Women rarely invest extra attention into appearance for someone they feel nothing for. Time and effort are valuable. When she spends that energy around you, she is showing interest without saying a word. And often, these silent signals speak louder than conversation. So watch carefully. Be attentive. Be composed. A high-value man who understands attraction knows that masculine energy begins with awareness. Notice the effort. Respect the signal. Then step forward with confidence, because that quiet preparation she made before seeing you may be her way of saying, "I hoped you would notice." If you notice this sign, don't ignore it. Pay attention. Attraction often speaks through small actions, not loud words. When a woman makes extra effort in how she looks around you, fixing her hair, adjusting her posture, adding a touch of lip gloss, that is rarely random. That is intention. That is awareness. That is interest trying to be seen without being said. So here's your reminder. Don't overthink signals that are right in front of you. Be present. Be confident. Take the step. If this insight helped you see things more clearly, like the video, subscribe for more powerful dating psychology, and drop this line in the comments to lock it into your mindset. I notice the effort, and I respond with confidence. 6. Physical signals. Physical signals tell the truth long before words do, and a man with awareness learns to read them calmly and clearly. Notice the small touches. The light contact when she laughs and places her hand on your arm. The moment she stands just a little closer than necessary. The way she doesn't rush to create distance. These are not accidents. Women are naturally selective with physical contact. They don't casually touch men they feel nothing for. When she allows that closeness, when she initiates that small, effortless touch, she is signaling comfort. And comfort is the first doorway to attraction. But understand this clearly, comfort alone is not the destination. It is only the beginning. If you remain in that comfortable space too long without taking the next step, the dynamic slowly shifts. She begins to see you as safe, familiar, predictable. Pleasant, yes. Exciting, no. The spark fades quietly when a man hesitates too long. As the philosopher Seneca once said, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. That opportunity is often hidden in those tiny physical signals. A man guided by old Stoic wisdom understands this deeply. He stays calm. He observes. Then he acts with quiet confidence. That is the essence of Stoicism win. In modern life, many men overthink these moments. They analyze every signal. They wait for absolute certainty. But certainty rarely appears in human connection. Attraction lives in subtlety. A touch, a smile, a step closer. Those are the invitations. If you want to build an iron mind, you must train yourself to recognize these moments and move with clarity. Don't rush with anxiety. Don't freeze with doubt. Be steady. Be present. When she touches your arm, hold eye contact. When she stands closer, lean slightly into the moment. Lead the energy forward. A man who lives by old Stoic wisdom does not chase approval, but he also does not ignore opportunity. He moves with calm intention. He understands that attraction is built through action, not endless thinking. That is the Stoicism win mindset. And when you develop that iron mind, something powerful happens. You stop fearing the moment. You begin to lead it. Remember this simple truth. Comfort opens the door. Confidence walks through it. Hesitation closes it. Read the signals. Stay grounded. Act with clarity. That is how a man turns a small touch into a real connection. That is how a man wins in both attraction and life. 7. Confidence and self-improvement. Confidence and self-improvement are two forces that quietly transform how a man is perceived, and this is something you must understand deeply if you want to recognize attraction and respond to it with calm certainty. Confidence is not noise. It is not a performance. It is not dramatic speeches or exaggerated gestures. Real confidence is simple, clear, and relaxed. It sounds like this: let's grab coffee. Or I'll take you out Friday. Short. Direct. No hesitation. That is the energy that creates movement between two people. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't hide behind endless analysis. Be clear. Be calm. Be decisive. In many psychology tricks related to attraction, simplicity is far more powerful than elaborate strategies because female psychology often responds to emotional stability and clarity rather than confusion or overthinking. A man who speaks simply shows that his mind is organized and his intentions are genuine. That alone already changes how a woman feels in your presence. But there is another layer here that many men overlook. Confidence grows naturally when you invest in yourself. When you improve your fitness, strengthen your body, and take care of your health, you begin to move differently. Your posture changes. Your eye contact becomes steady. When you develop your career, pursue meaningful work, or build skills that give your life direction, you create a sense of momentum. People feel that momentum. Women especially notice it. Female psychology is highly sensitive to signals of growth, purpose, and emotional stability. This is why self-improvement is not just about looking better or earning more money. It is about becoming a man whose life is moving forward. When your life moves forward, your energy changes. When your energy changes, people respond differently to you. That is one of the most overlooked psychology tricks in the dynamics of attraction. You don't chase attention. You build a life that naturally attracts it. Think about it carefully. A man who exercises regularly, invests in learning, explores hobbies, and develops meaningful goals carries a different presence than a man who feels stuck or directionless. His voice is calmer. His decisions are clearer. His actions feel intentional. Women sense this even when nothing is said directly. This is how female psychology processes attraction in subtle ways. It is not always about what you say. Often it is about how you live. Don't try to impress with endless talking. Be the man who acts. Be the man whose life shows progress. That is the quiet signal that creates curiosity and emotional interest. And here is another important point. When you improve yourself, you naturally stop seeking approval. That shift alone changes everything. Instead of asking, "Does she like me?" your mindset becomes, "Do we enjoy each other's company?" This subtle mental change is one of the most powerful psychology tricks in understanding how to fall in love and how attraction forms naturally between two people. When you are centered in your own life, conversations feel lighter. Your presence feels grounded. Women often feel safer and more intrigued around men who carry this quiet certainty. That is why the combination of confidence and self-improvement is so powerful. It creates a magnetic calmness. It signals emotional maturity. It tells the world, without saying a word, that you know where you are going. And when a woman senses that clarity, female psychology often responds with curiosity, warmth, and openness. So remember this. Don't chase validation. Build yourself. Don't hide behind complicated strategies. Use simple psychology tricks rooted in honesty and clarity. When you live with purpose, when your life moves forward, when your actions reflect growth, you naturally become more attractive. That is the deeper lesson about how to fall in love in a healthy way. Attraction grows strongest when two people feel the presence of someone who knows himself, respects his path, and moves through life with calm confidence. 8. Social media signals. Let's bring this into modern reality, social media. In today's world, attraction doesn't always start across a crowded room. Sometimes it begins with a small notification on your phone. Pay attention to patterns. If she watches all your stories quickly, reacts often, or sends small messages just to keep the interaction alive, that is not boredom. That is interest. People are busy. Everyone has work, responsibilities, and endless distractions. So when someone repeatedly chooses to spend their attention on you online, that choice carries meaning. Don't ignore it. Be aware of it. That is the quiet language of modern connection. Think about it for a moment. You post a story, and within minutes she has seen it. Not once, not occasionally, consistently. Maybe she reacts with a laughing emoji. Maybe she sends a short message like, "That's funny," or "Looks like a good place." These are not grand declarations. But attraction rarely begins with grand gestures. It begins with small signals repeated over time. As the old saying goes, interest shows itself in attention. And in the digital world, attention is currency. A woman who repeatedly invests that currency in you is telling you something without saying it directly. Now look even closer. If she sends you random videos, memes, or songs, she is doing something very intentional. She is creating reasons to talk. She could easily scroll past and keep it to herself. But instead, she thinks of you. She presses send. She opens a door for conversation. Don't overanalyze it. Don't dismiss it. Recognize the pattern. When someone sends you a song, they are sharing a feeling. When someone sends you a funny video, they're inviting you into their moment. That is connection. That is effort. A man who understands these signals begins to move differently. He doesn't panic. He doesn't overreact. He observes. He responds calmly. That is the mindset of a high-value man. A high-value man understands that attraction often grows through small, consistent interactions. He doesn't chase attention desperately. Instead, he recognizes when attention is already being given. That awareness is powerful. It shows confidence. It shows emotional intelligence. But don't make a mistake here. Don't sit back forever and analyze every emoji like a detective studying clues. That is hesitation disguised as caution. Be grounded. Be clear. Be responsive. When she reaches out, engage. When she shares something, reply with curiosity. When the conversation flows, move it forward. That is how masculine energy operates. It is steady. It is calm. It leads naturally without forcing anything. Many men miss this entirely. They think attraction must always look dramatic. They expect obvious flirting or bold compliments. But in reality, many women communicate interest through comfort and consistency. They keep showing up. They keep interacting. They keep maintaining contact. Consistent digital attention is a modern form of proximity. In the past, someone might sit next to you at a cafe or walk by your office just to talk. Today, they watch your stories, reply to your posts, and message you casually. The environment has changed. Human behavior has not. Remember this simple truth. People do not invest consistent time online in someone they feel nothing for. Time is the most valuable thing anyone has. And when a woman repeatedly spends a piece of her day interacting with you digitally, she is placing you inside her attention circle. Don't ignore that signal. Understand it. But also keep balance. Don't flood her with messages. Don't suddenly become overwhelming. Attraction grows through rhythm. She shows interest. You respond with calm engagement. She opens another conversation. You deepen it slightly. This dance creates tension and curiosity. That is the natural flow that helps a man attract women without trying too hard. When a man carries quiet confidence, things shift. He stops asking, "Does she like me?" and starts asking, "Is she investing in me?" That subtle change transforms how you see the situation. If she consistently watches your content, reacts to your posts, and finds reasons to message you, those are investments. Small ones, but real ones. And this is where masculine energy becomes important again. Don't stay passive forever. When interest is consistent, movement must follow. Suggest meeting for coffee. Invite her to a simple activity. Keep it relaxed. Keep it natural. A high-value man doesn't hide behind endless texting. He uses conversation as a bridge toward real interaction. Here's the key lesson. Social media signals are modern body language. They reveal attention, curiosity, and sometimes attraction. The man who understands this doesn't panic or overthink. He observes patterns. He respects the signals. And when the moment is right, he takes calm, confident action. That is how a grounded man naturally attracts women, not through tricks, but through awareness, presence, and steady masculine energy. 9. Teasing. Teasing is one of the most overlooked signals of attraction, yet it is often one of the clearest. When a woman playfully challenges you, raises an eyebrow, smiles, and says something like, "Oh, really?" with a hint of amusement in her voice, she is not rejecting you. She is inviting a reaction. This is playful tension. This is emotional testing. And understanding this moment separates the uncertain man from the man who moves through life with calm confidence. In modern social dynamics, attraction rarely announces itself directly. People flirt through subtlety, through humor, through light challenges. A teasing comment is often her way of asking a silent question. Can you handle this moment? Can you stay relaxed? Can you play along? The philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That idea applies perfectly here. Teasing is not about the words. It is about your response. If you smile, if you stay calm, if you tease back lightly and keep the mood fun, attraction rises. If you become serious, defensive, or uncomfortable, the energy disappears instantly. This is why men who develop an iron mind handle teasing effortlessly. They are not rattled by playful challenges. They understand that tension creates chemistry. They understand that humor builds connection. A confident man does not retreat when a woman jokes with him. He leans into the moment. He responds with calm wit. He keeps the conversation alive. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." In social situations, that principle is priceless. You cannot control what someone says, but you control your emotional response. That is the foundation of attraction. That is the foundation of old Stoic wisdom. Today's world is full of distractions, social media noise, and constant comparison, but human nature has not changed. People are still drawn to emotional steadiness, to humor, to calm strength. When a woman teases you, she is not attacking you. She is exploring your personality. She is seeing if you can keep the moment playful. She is seeing if you are grounded enough to enjoy the tension rather than collapse under it. So do not overanalyze every word. Do not search for hidden insults. Smile. Slow down. Respond with warmth and light humor. Say something playful back. Keep the conversation alive. Attraction grows in moments like these. Small moments, simple moments, but powerful ones. Remember this. Teasing is rarely random. It is often an invitation. And men who understand this principle live differently. They stay calm in social situations. They develop an iron mind that does not react impulsively. They move through conversations with confidence and patience. That is the quiet advantage described in old Stoic wisdom. As Seneca wrote, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. When teasing appears, that is the opportunity. Your preparation is emotional stability. Your preparation is humor. Your preparation is calm self-control. This is exactly the philosophy behind Stoicism win. You do not chase approval. You do not panic in moments of tension. You stay steady. You respond wisely. You keep your composure. In modern dating, many men hesitate, overthink, and miss these signals entirely. Do not make that mistake. When teasing happens, stay grounded. Enjoy the moment. Respond with calm confidence. That is how attraction grows. That is how connections deepen. That is how a man with an iron mind moves through the world. And when you practice this consistently, you begin to understand something powerful. Confidence is not loud. It is calm. It is playful. It is controlled. This is the quiet strength that old Stoic wisdom teaches. This is the mindset behind Stoicism win. Master your reactions. Master your energy. Master the moment. Because when you do, life becomes simpler, conversations become easier, and opportunities appear where other men only see confusion. If you recognize this pattern, don't ignore it. Playful teasing is not rejection. It's an invitation to engage. When a woman lightly challenges you, she's watching how steady you are under pressure. Stay relaxed. Smile. Tease back. That calm confidence is what builds attraction. As the old saying goes, confidence is silent, insecurity is loud. A man who can laugh, stay grounded, and enjoy the moment instantly stands out. So if you understand this signal and you're ready to handle it the right way, prove it in the comments. Write this sentence below: I stay calm, I play along, and I let attraction grow. 10. Jealousy. Jealousy is often quiet, almost invisible, yet it can reveal more than words ever will, and understanding this small shift is one of the most overlooked psychology tricks when it comes to attraction. Pay attention to what happens when another woman enters the conversation with you. Watch the subtle changes. A woman who was relaxed a moment ago may suddenly lean closer, laugh a little louder at your jokes, ask more questions, or find small reasons to keep the interaction going. That change is rarely random. It is female psychology at work. Human beings naturally protect what they value, and attraction often awakens a quiet sense of competition. Don't misunderstand this signal. It doesn't mean drama or hostility. It usually shows up in small, controlled ways: more eye contact, more engagement, a slightly playful challenge. That is her way of reestablishing her presence in the moment. Notice the pattern. Women rarely compete for attention from a man they feel neutral about. They simply step back and move on. But when a man carries calm confidence, when his presence feels grounded and interesting, attention becomes something worth holding. That is why understanding psychology tricks and observing female psychology can completely change how you read social dynamics. Be calm. Be observant. Don't panic and don't rush. Many men misread these moments because they focus only on words. But attraction often speaks through behavior. If she becomes more attentive the moment another woman appears, that is information. That is a signal. It suggests she does not want to disappear from your attention. It suggests she sees you as someone worth keeping close. And this is where many men hesitate. They freeze, they overthink, they wait for certainty that never arrives. Don't do that. Confidence is not loud. It is movement at the right moment. If you notice this shift, if she becomes more playful, more engaged, slightly competitive, take it as encouragement to step forward naturally. Continue the conversation. Invite connection. Remember this: attraction grows through interaction. Understanding how to fall in love is not about memorizing clever lines. It is about reading emotional signals and responding with calm assurance. Real connection often begins in these small social tests. So pay attention. Observe behavior more than words. Use these psychology tricks wisely, respect the signals of female psychology, and understand that many relationships begin with these quiet moments of curiosity and competition. When you learn to recognize them, you stop guessing and start seeing clearly, and that clarity is often the first real step in learning how to fall in love in a confident, natural way. 11. Future-oriented questions. Future-oriented questions are one of the quiet signals many men miss, yet they carry powerful meaning. When a woman begins asking about your plans, your ambitions, or where you see yourself going in the next few years, she isn't making casual small talk. She's studying direction. That is the key word: direction. Not necessarily money, not necessarily status, but the sense that you're a man moving somewhere with intention. When she asks, "So, what are you planning next?" or "Where do you see yourself in a few years?" she's subtly trying to understand your path. Be aware of this moment. Don't brush it off. Don't answer vaguely. A high-value man doesn't hide from questions about the future. He welcomes them. He speaks calmly about what he's building, what he's learning, and where he intends to go. That is attractive. That is clarity. That is masculine energy expressed through vision and purpose. Many men stumble right here. Instead of speaking with calm confidence, they begin overthinking every word. They analyze the situation endlessly. They tell themselves, maybe she's just being polite. Maybe she's just friendly. Yes, sometimes she is. But don't ignore the bigger picture. Attraction rarely shows itself through a single moment. It shows itself through patterns. When several signals appear together: proximity, steady eye contact, remembering small details about you, making the effort to see you again, playful touches, light teasing, consistent online engagement, and those curious future-oriented questions. That is not random behavior. That is a pattern. And patterns matter. A high-value man understands this simple truth: attraction grows through signals repeated over time. Don't wait for perfect certainty. Perfect certainty rarely arrives. Life rewards those who move with awareness and composure. Be grounded. Be present. When she asks about your future, don't shrink back. Don't apologize for your ambitions. Speak clearly about the direction you're moving in. It doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be sincere. Women are often less interested in the exact destination and more interested in the man's momentum. That forward motion reflects masculine energy, the calm sense that you are building something meaningful with your life. Remember this principle: attraction is rarely about a single moment. It's about consistency. It's about the quiet alignment of signals that appear again and again. When you learn to recognize these patterns, your confidence naturally grows. You stop guessing. You start responding. And that shift changes everything. A high-value man doesn't sit frozen in endless analysis. He observes. He understands. Then he moves forward with calm intention. That is how you naturally attract women, not through complicated tactics, but through clarity, presence, and steady masculine energy that shows you know where you're going. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to support the channel. Like the video, share it with a friend who needs this wisdom, and subscribe for more insights about confidence, attraction, and understanding human psychology. And now I want to hear from you. When a woman asks about your future, your goals, and the direction of your life, she's often trying to understand the man behind the conversation. She's not only listening to your words, she's observing your confidence, your clarity, and your sense of purpose. A man who knows where he's going naturally creates attraction because direction signals strength and stability. So instead of overthinking or doubting yourself, remember this: attraction often reveals itself through patterns. Eye contact, curiosity, effort, playful energy, and questions about your future. If you understand that, you're already ahead of most men. Comment below to lock this mindset in your mind. I move forward with confidence and purpose. 12. Fear of rejection. Fear of rejection stops more men than lack of opportunity ever will. That is the quiet truth many people avoid saying out loud. A man notices the signals: the eye contact, the smile that lingers a second longer than necessary, the questions about his life. Yet he hesitates. He freezes. Why? Because the mind begins to imagine the worst possible outcome. Social media has made this fear louder than it should be. It shows extreme situations, dramatic rejections, exaggerated embarrassment. But real life is not a viral video. Real life is calm. Real life is subtle. Most women are not standing there waiting to embarrass you. In fact, when a woman gives you signals of interest, she is often hoping you will make the moment easier for her by stepping forward. She does not want a perfect speech. She wants clarity. She wants presence. She wants the calm certainty that comes from a man who has trained his mind. This is where old Stoic wisdom becomes powerful. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about that. The fear in your mind is usually far bigger than the moment in front of you. An iron mind understands this. An iron mind does not wait for perfect certainty. It acts with quiet confidence. In modern life, men overanalyze everything: text messages, eye contact, tone of voice. They search for perfect guarantees before taking action. But attraction does not reward hesitation. Attraction rewards movement. This is a lesson repeated throughout Stoicism win philosophy. Control what you can control and release what you cannot. You cannot control her answer, but you can control your courage. You can control your presence. You can control whether you step forward or remain stuck in silence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That is the discipline of an iron mind. You approach calmly. You speak clearly. You accept whatever answer comes without losing your balance. And here is the deeper truth many men realize too late: doing nothing creates more regret than hearing no. Regret lingers. Regret follows you home at night. Regret whispers, "What if?" Meanwhile, a simple attempt, even if it fails, gives you peace. You acted. You lived. You moved forward like a man guided by old Stoic wisdom. Remember this rule: simple, direct, powerful. Do not wait for perfect timing. Do not wait for certainty. Do not build fear in your imagination. Step forward with calm energy. Speak with clarity. Let life respond. That is the mindset Stoicism win teaches. That is how you build an iron mind. And a man with an iron mind does not chase approval. He creates opportunities by acting when the moment appears. Hello, my friends, and thank you for spending a few minutes here with me today. I want to leave you with one simple piece of honest advice. Attraction is rarely loud, and it's almost never perfectly clear. Most of the time, it shows up in small signals: eye contact, effort, attention, the way someone stays close to you a little longer than necessary. But remember this: confidence also means knowing when to step forward and when to walk away. Don't chase someone who gives you nothing back. If a woman avoids you, keeps distance, or never shows interest, respect yourself and move on with dignity. A calm, self-respecting man doesn't beg for attention. But when the signs are there, when her actions consistently show interest, don't freeze. Don't wait forever for the perfect moment or the perfect words. They don't exist. What matters is movement. A simple, honest step forward is often all it takes because attraction rewards action. And whether people say it openly or not, many women still appreciate a man who has the courage to make the first move. So watch behavior. Look for patterns. Trust what you see, not just what you hear. And when the signals are real, act with confidence. Now I'm curious to hear from you. Tell me honestly in the comments, have you ever realized too late that she was actually waiting for you to ask her out? If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need this advice. Take care, stay confident, and I'll see you in the next video. You think she's not interested? Watch this first. Psychology tricks. Most men quietly misjudge their place in the room. If women are not openly flirting, not chasing, not making things obvious, many men quickly reach the same conclusion: maybe I'm just not that attractive. But that assumption is often far from the truth. In reality, some of the men who create the strongest pull are the very ones who doubt themselves the most. Why? Because attraction from women is rarely loud or direct. It moves in quieter ways, through glances that linger a second too long, through subtle shifts in body language, through a certain attention in the air that many men were never taught to notice. As Eric from once wrote, love is not something that happens to us, it is something we become aware of. And awareness is exactly what many men have been missing. If you've ever walked into a room and felt overlooked, replayed a conversation wondering if there was interest or if you imagined it, or quietly told yourself that you're not that guy, pause for a moment and breathe. You are far from alone in that experience. In fact, men who reflect and question themselves often carry a calm presence that women naturally feel. Not arrogance, not performance, presence. The deeper truth is that men and women often experience attraction in completely different ways. For many men, attraction feels like a clear forward impulse: see someone appealing, move closer, take action. For women, attraction frequently begins as awareness. She notices the energy in the room. She observes how you carry yourself. She wonders if you notice her too. Instead of announcing attraction, she signals it through positioning, through attention, through subtle shifts that speak quietly rather than loudly. And if you have been waiting for bold compliments or obvious pursuit to confirm your value, you may have been looking for a language that attraction rarely speaks. Women signal. They rarely declare. But once you learn to recognize those signals, something powerful happens inside you. You stop chasing reassurance. You start seeing what was already there. And today, we're going to explore 8 powerful signs that you may be far more attractive than you've believed for years. As we go through them, stay honest with yourself. Not from ego, not from insecurity, just from quiet awareness. And if one of these signs suddenly makes something click in your mind, share it in the comments, because sometimes the moment we name a truth is the moment we finally begin to see ourselves clearly. The first sign: lingering eye contact. The first sign most men overlook is lingering eye contact, and this is one of those subtle psychology tricks rooted deeply in female psychology that can completely change how you interpret a moment. Picture an ordinary setting: a coffee shop, a grocery store aisle, a small social gathering where conversations blend into background noise. You look up casually, and suddenly your eyes meet hers. Now here is the moment that matters. Instead of immediately looking away like strangers normally do, she holds your gaze just a fraction longer. Not dramatically, not obviously, just long enough to create a small pause in time. Then she looks away. Most men dismiss this. They assume it meant nothing. Some even tell themselves she wasn't interested. Don't make that mistake. That extra second is meaningful. In the language of female psychology, time and attention are currency, and the human nervous system rarely spends them on something that carries no interest. Research on nonverbal communication shows that prolonged eye contact increases emotional awareness, raises heart rate slightly, and quietly builds a sense of connection. In other words, the body reacts before the mind fully understands what is happening. That is why this small moment matters so much. And here is the part many men completely miss. Often she will look back again. That second glance is rarely random. Think about your own behavior. When something does not interest you, your brain barely registers it. You look once and move on. But when something catches your curiosity, you look twice. You confirm what you just felt. Women do exactly the same thing. The first look is curiosity. The second look is courage. In the quiet language of attraction, she is asking a silent question. Did you notice? This is where many men lose the moment because uncertainty takes over. They break eye contact too quickly. They look down. They act as if they did something wrong. Don't do that. Be steady, calm, present. Confidence here does not mean staring intensely or trying to impress. That is not attractive. Real confidence is simple. Hold the gaze naturally for a moment. Relax your face. Let a small, genuine smile appear. That is enough. These small signals are powerful psychology tricks that appear again and again in studies of female psychology, especially when it comes to how people begin the early stages of connection and how to fall in love. Attraction rarely starts with grand gestures. It starts with attention. It starts with awareness. It starts with two people noticing each other in a room full of distractions. And for men between 35 and 70, understanding this matters more than ever. At this stage of life, many men assume attraction only belongs to youth. They believe women no longer notice them. That belief is often wrong. Women do notice. They simply communicate differently. Their signals are quieter, more subtle, shaped by social awareness and emotional intelligence. That is why understanding these psychology tricks becomes so valuable. When you recognize these patterns in female psychology, you begin to see moments you once ignored. You begin to realize that attraction often appears in small, fleeting signals rather than dramatic displays. And this is also where the deeper lesson about how to fall in love begins to reveal itself. Love rarely begins with words. It begins with attention, with curiosity, with two people allowing themselves to notice each other just a little longer than necessary. So the next time this happens, don't rush the moment. Don't panic. Don't look away immediately out of habit. Be calm. Be grounded. Let the moment exist. A steady gaze. A relaxed smile. That is enough to acknowledge the signal without forcing anything. Because attraction, especially when guided by the quiet patterns of female psychology, grows naturally when two people feel seen rather than pressured. And if you start noticing this pattern, women glancing, looking away, then looking again, understand something important. You are never invisible. You are simply missing the signals that were already there. The second sign, proximity. Attractive men create a kind of gravitational pull. Not loud, not obvious, but powerful. You walk into a room and something subtle begins to happen. A woman chooses the seat near yours. Someone steps into your conversation circle. Another lingers within your line of sight. Do not rush past this moment. Notice it. Understand it. This is not coincidence. This is positioning. Many men misunderstand how attraction appears in the real world. They expect dramatic signals. They expect direct pursuit. But life rarely works that way. Women often communicate interest through placement rather than pursuit, through presence rather than pressure. That is the language of subtle attraction. You must learn to read it. When a woman places herself near you, near your table, near your group, near your physical space, she is creating opportunity. She is not chasing. She is opening a door. A high-value man recognizes the door when it appears. He does not ignore it. He does not overanalyze it. He simply steps forward with calm awareness. Understand this clearly. Proximity is one of the oldest psychological signals of human attraction. Psychologists call this the mere exposure effect. The principle is simple. The more often we see someone, the more familiar they feel, the more comfortable they become. And comfort is the soil where attraction quietly grows. That is why people meet partners at workplaces, coffee shops, gyms, or social clubs. Repeated presence builds emotional safety. So when a woman positions herself near you repeatedly, she is increasing the chances of interaction. She is making herself visible inside your awareness. She is allowing the natural rhythm of conversation to begin. Do not rush. Do not force the moment. Be calm. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. I once worked with a gentleman in his early 60s. Intelligent man, well-spoken, good posture, a quiet sense of humor. Yet he carried a belief that many men carry: women don't notice me. That belief had slowly shaped how he moved through social spaces. He sat quietly. He avoided initiating conversations. He assumed he was invisible. But one evening he mentioned something curious. At his regular wine bar, the same woman had chosen the stool beside him 3 separate evenings in a row. He laughed when he told the story. He assumed it was random. But it wasn't. Think about it. Bars have many seats, many open spaces. Yet she chose the seat next to him again and again. Not once, 3 times. That is not coincidence. That is positioning. That is proximity at work. The moment I explained this to him, something shifted in his perspective. He realized he had been missing signals his entire life. The next time he went to the wine bar, he did something simple. Nothing dramatic. Nothing rehearsed. He turned slightly toward her, smiled gently, and said, "It seems we keep ending up at the same corner of the bar." That was it. No performance. No pressure. Just presence. And the conversation flowed naturally from there. This is the power of awareness. When self-doubt disappears, perception sharpens. You begin to notice patterns. You begin to recognize opportunities. You move differently. You speak differently. That is the quiet confidence people describe as masculine energy. Not loud energy. Not aggressive energy. Calm energy. Grounded energy. A high-value man does not chase every interaction. He observes first. He reads the room. He notices who repeatedly enters his orbit. Attraction often moves in quiet circles before it becomes conversation. So here is a simple principle you must remember. Do not assume indifference when proximity appears. Be aware. If a woman repeatedly places herself near you, near your seat, near your social group, near your path, pay attention. She may be creating space for a moment to happen. Your job is not to overreact. Your job is not to impress. Your job is to acknowledge the moment with calm engagement. Say something simple. Comment on the environment. Share a light observation. Ask an easy question. Conversation does not need fireworks. It needs openness. That is how connection begins. Too many men sabotage these moments because they doubt themselves. They assume they are imagining things. They assume interest must look dramatic to be real. Don't make that mistake. Subtle attraction is still attraction. And often, the most powerful signals are the quietest ones. When you learn to recognize proximity, something remarkable happens. You stop feeling invisible. You stop feeling confused. Instead, you start seeing patterns everywhere. The same person standing near you at social gatherings. The same smile across the room. The same small shifts in physical space. Energy pulls. Awareness responds. That is the equation. A man who carries grounded masculine energy naturally begins to attract women without forcing the process. Not because he performs. Not because he tries to impress everyone around him. But because calm presence creates emotional safety. And emotional safety is magnetic. So remember this. Don't ignore proximity. Be aware of the space around you. That is where attraction often begins. A high-value man understands this quiet dynamic. He observes. He stays present. He responds with ease. And in doing so, he naturally begins to attract women through the most powerful signal of all: relaxed confidence. Energy pulls. Awareness responds. And once you begin to see it, you will realize something surprising. You are never invisible. And remember this, attraction often moves quietly before it becomes obvious. When a woman chooses to stand near you, sit beside you, or enter your space again and again, that is not random, it is opportunity. Notice it. Respect it. Step into it with calm confidence. If this message resonates with you, drop a comment right now. I notice the signals. Like this video, subscribe for more timeless wisdom, and remind yourself daily Confidence begins the moment awareness replaces doubt. The third sign: people listen when you speak. The third sign: people listen when you speak. Pay close attention to this one because it reveals more about your presence than any mirror ever could. Have you noticed how side conversations begin to fade when you start speaking? Have you seen people subtly turn their bodies toward you, their shoulders angling in your direction, their eyes settling on you without effort? That is not luck. That is presence. And presence is one of the most powerful signals of masculine attraction, especially for men in the second half of life. Psychologists often describe this through something called the halo effect. When a person is perceived as attractive, physically, emotionally, or energetically, others unconsciously attribute additional qualities to him. They assume confidence. They assume intelligence. They assume leadership. In simple terms, when your presence is strong, people expect your words to matter before you even speak them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That sentence captures the essence of what we are discussing. A man with presence does not force attention. He becomes worthy of it. And here is where old Stoic wisdom becomes extremely relevant for modern men. In a world that constantly rewards loudness, speed, and constant self-promotion, the calm man stands out more than ever. Youth often shouts to be noticed. Maturity does something different. Maturity resonates. It carries weight. It speaks slowly, clearly, and deliberately. This is why men in their 50s, 60s, and beyond often develop a deeper magnetism than they had in their 20s. Not because they try harder, but because they no longer need to. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. They believed the strongest man was the one who mastered himself first. That is the foundation of Stoicism win. You are not trying to overpower a room. You are learning to hold yourself with such steadiness that the room naturally aligns around you. Think about the leaders, mentors, and respected figures you have met in your life. Did they rush their words? Did they compete for attention? Rarely. They spoke calmly. They paused. They allowed silence to work for them. And that silence carries tremendous psychological power. When you slow your speech slightly, people lean in. When you lower your tone, listeners focus more carefully. When you pause intentionally, curiosity fills the space. This is not manipulation. This is disciplined communication. And disciplined communication comes from an iron mind. The iron mind is the Stoic ability to remain composed regardless of the environment. It is the ability to speak with intention rather than impulse. Modern life bombards men with noise, notifications, social media, endless debates. Everyone is trying to talk louder. But the man who embodies old Stoic wisdom does the opposite. He becomes quieter, more precise, more grounded. And paradoxically, that is exactly what makes people listen. Seneca once said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." A man who carries this philosophy naturally radiates calm confidence. His words are not rushed by insecurity. They are not driven by the need for approval. They are simply expressed. And people feel that. They trust that. They respect that. This is why presence becomes far more valuable than performance as you grow older. In youth, attraction is often built on speed, appearance, and constant activity. But with age, a deeper form of attraction emerges. It comes from stability. It comes from emotional control. It comes from the quiet assurance that you understand yourself and your place in the world. That is the essence of Stoicism win in modern relationships. The man who has mastered his internal world becomes incredibly magnetic in the external world. Now here is a simple exercise you can begin using immediately. The next time you are speaking with someone at dinner, in a meeting, or even during a casual conversation, slow your pace by just 10%. Let your words breathe. Let your sentences land. Lower your tone slightly so people must focus to hear you clearly. Then introduce pauses. Not awkward pauses. Intentional ones. Watch what happens. People will naturally give you more attention. Not because you demanded it, but because your calm energy invites it. This is the power of the iron mind in action. It does not chase attention. It attracts it. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. you begin to realize something very important. You never needed to compete with the loudest voice in the room. Your strength lies in something deeper, in stillness, in composure, in clarity, in old Stoic wisdom. The world today desperately needs men who can hold that kind of steady presence. Men who think before they speak. Men who respect silence as much as words. Men who move through life with discipline rather than chaos. That is the path of Stoicism win. Build your iron mind. Speak with intention. Slow down. Let your presence do the work. And you will notice something remarkable. People begin to listen, not because you demanded authority, but because your calm confidence quietly earned it. The fourth sign, mirroring. The fourth sign, mirroring. This is one of the quiet psychology tricks that many men overlook, yet it reveals more about female psychology and how to fall in love than loud signals ever could. Mirroring is subtle, almost invisible if you are not paying attention. But once you understand it, you begin to see it everywhere. It happens when someone unconsciously reflects your body language, your rhythm, even your emotional pace. You lean back in your chair, and a few seconds later, she leans back too. You touch your face while thinking, and suddenly she brushes her cheek. Your voice slows down, your tone becomes calmer, and without realizing it, her speech begins to follow the same tempo. Do not assume this is deliberate imitation. It is not performance. It is something deeper. It is nervous system alignment. Human beings naturally synchronize with people they feel comfortable around. When attraction and emotional safety begin to form, the body responds before the mind even understands what is happening. Breathing patterns subtly match. Posture begins to echo each other. Even micromovements start to align. Neuroscience explains this through something called mirror neurons, specialized cells in the brain that activate when we observe someone we feel connected to. They help us understand emotions, build empathy, and create what psychologists call rapport. In simple terms, when two people feel a connection, their bodies begin to speak the same language. This is why mirroring is one of the most reliable psychology tricks for reading attraction. It reveals the truth that words often hide. A woman might remain polite, calm, even reserved in conversation, but her body may be telling an entirely different story. If you notice her matching your gestures, your posture, or your speaking rhythm, that is not random. That is female psychology at work. Her nervous system is quietly saying, I feel comfortable here. And comfort is the foundation of how to fall in love. Attraction rarely begins with intensity. It begins with safety, especially for women. Safety first, curiosity second, desire third. Miss that order and you misunderstand the entire process. Remember this. People do not emotionally open where they feel tension. They open where they feel calm. That is why calm presence is more powerful than flashy behavior. Be steady. Be grounded. Let the conversation breathe. Do not rush to impress. Do not perform. Just be present. When you hold that kind of relaxed certainty, mirroring often appears naturally. Now here is something powerful you can do once you understand this dynamic. You can gently reinforce the connection, not by copying every movement, that would feel artificial, but by subtly matching one small element of her posture after a few moments. If she leans slightly forward while listening, you can do the same a little later. If she relaxes her shoulders, allow yours to soften too. Keep it natural. Keep it minimal. Done correctly, this simple adjustment strengthens the sense of familiarity between you. The conversation begins to feel smoother. The energy becomes warmer. This is not manipulation. It is alignment. It is understanding female psychology and using awareness rather than force. Many men miss this because they expect attraction to look dramatic. They look for bold signals, loud flirting, obvious pursuit. But real attraction is usually quieter than that. It is layered. It is subtle. It lives in timing, eye contact, posture, and rhythm. Mirroring is one of the most fascinating psychology tricks because it reveals connection happening beneath conscious awareness. It is the body's way of saying, we are comfortable together. And comfort is the doorway to how to fall in love. Think about it. Every strong relationship you have ever experienced likely began with this kind of ease. conversations that flowed without effort, laughter that appeared naturally, silence that felt peaceful instead of awkward. These moments are not accidents. They are signals of emotional synchronization. When you understand this, your perspective changes. Instead of chasing approval, you start observing energy. Instead of forcing attraction, you create space for it to emerge. And that shift alone makes you more magnetic. Because confidence is not loud. Confidence is relaxed awareness. Pay attention next time you are in a conversation with a woman. Watch the small movements. Notice the rhythm of speech. Observe posture, gestures, breathing pace. Do not stare. Just be aware. If you begin to notice mirroring patterns, recognize what is happening. Connection is forming. Slowly, quietly, naturally. And if even one of these patterns feels familiar to you right now, pause for a moment and let that sink in. You may have assumed you were invisible in the room. You may have believed she was simply being polite. But the human nervous system rarely lies. When bodies synchronize, when gestures align, when rhythm matches rhythm, that is not coincidence. That is connection unfolding beneath the surface. Attraction is rarely loud. It whispers first. It builds layer by layer. And once you understand these deeper signals of female psychology, you begin to see the real pathway of how to fall in love. So do not rush the moment. Do not break the calm by trying too hard. Just stay present, stay grounded, and notice the quiet signals around you. Because sometimes the strongest interest is not spoken out loud, it is mirrored right in front of you. If this insight opened your eyes, don't just watch and move on. Take action. Hit the like button, subscribe for more timeless psychological wisdom, and strengthen your awareness of the subtle signals people reveal every day. The men who succeed in connection are the ones who notice what others overlook. And if this message resonates with you, leave this line in the comments right now to lock it into your mindset. True attraction shows itself in the mirror of behavior. The fifth sign, compliments about your presence. The fifth sign, compliments about your presence. Many men misunderstand this moment because they are trained to listen only for the obvious. If a woman says, "You look great today," that is pleasant, but it lives on the surface. Physical assessments happen fast, within seconds, often without much thought. People notice clothes, posture, hair, or a smile almost automatically. That kind of compliment is easy. It costs very little emotional investment. But pay close attention when the words shift. When she says something like, "I really like your energy," or "I feel comfortable around you," the message is completely different. That is not about appearance. That is about presence. And presence is the foundation of lasting attraction. A high-value man understands this difference immediately. He does not chase validation about looks. He cultivates a presence that people feel the moment he walks into a room. That is masculine energy expressed quietly, not loudly. Think about what those words truly mean. When a woman says she likes your energy, she is describing something that cannot be faked. Energy is the emotional atmosphere you bring into a conversation. It is the calmness in your voice. It is the patience in your listening. It is the steadiness in your posture. When she says, "I feel comfortable around you," she is revealing something much deeper. Her nervous system relaxes in your presence. That is not a casual reaction. Modern psychological research shows that emotional safety and authenticity are among the strongest predictors of long-term attraction. In simple terms, people are drawn to those who make them feel calm and understood, not pressured, not evaluated, not rushed. A high-value man creates that space naturally. He does not try to perform for attention. He simply shows up with grounded masculine energy, and that stability allows others to breathe easier around him. Do not dismiss these compliments. Many men make that mistake. They are waiting for dramatic signals, flirting, teasing, obvious interest, so they overlook the subtle indicators that matter far more. A woman who says she feels comfortable around you is revealing trust. That is the doorway to deeper connection. Attraction built only on appearance fades quickly. Attraction built on emotional safety grows stronger with time. If you want to attract women in a meaningful way, focus less on impressing and more on being present. Listen carefully. Hold eye contact without tension. Speak slowly. Be calm. That is masculine energy in action. I once worked with a widower in his late 50s who believed his best years were behind him. His story is one many men quietly carry. He told me, "I'm not the flashy type. I'm not loud. I don't stand out." He assumed that meant he had little chance of attracting someone new. Yet something interesting kept happening. Women often told him, "You're easy to talk to." Another would say, "I don't know why, but I feel relaxed when I'm around you." He dismissed these comments as politeness. He thought they were simply being kind. But what he failed to recognize was the real signal hidden inside those words. They were responding to his presence. Observe what he actually did during conversations. He listened without interrupting. He did not rush to fill silence. Many people fear quiet moments, but he allowed them. That silence gave others space to think and express themselves. He did not try to impress with stories or exaggerated humor. Instead, he remained calm, attentive, and curious. In a world where many people are distracted, rushed, and eager to prove themselves, his steadiness felt rare. His calmness created emotional safety. That is something people feel instinctively. A high-value man does not need to dominate a room to attract women. Sometimes the quiet center of the room becomes the most magnetic place of all. He believed he was average. That was his internal story. But the women he spoke with experienced him very differently. They experienced him as grounding. There is a powerful difference between those two perceptions. Average is how you label yourself. Grounding is how others feel when they are around you. One is a judgment. The other is an experience. Masculine energy often works this way. It does not shout. It settles the room. It slows the pace of the conversation. It makes people feel seen and heard. This is why presence matters more than performance. Many men try to attract women by stacking impressive traits: money, style, clever lines, perfect timing. Those things may capture attention for a moment, but attention is not the same as connection. Connection grows when someone feels safe to be themselves around you. That is the quiet power of a high-value man. He does not rush. He does not chase approval. He brings calm, clarity, and steadiness wherever he goes. So remember this simple instruction. Don't ignore the deeper compliment. If a woman tells you she feels comfortable around you, recognize what she is saying. That is trust forming. That is attraction developing at the emotional level. Be the man who protects that space. Be the man who listens more than he performs. Be the man whose masculine energy calms the room instead of trying to control it. When you develop that kind of presence, you will naturally attract women, not through force, not through tricks, but through the quiet confidence of a high-value man who understands the real language of human connection. The sixth sign. You catch people looking at you. The sixth sign is simple, quiet, and incredibly revealing. You catch people looking at you. Not once, not by accident, but repeatedly. A glance, then another. A quick assessment from across the room. Human beings are wired to scan their environment for social value. Our brains constantly search for signals of confidence, composure, and emotional steadiness. This is not about perfect looks. It is about presence. It is about the calm authority that a man carries when he walks into a space without trying to impress anyone. When you enter a room and the energy shifts just a little, when someone glances at you and quickly looks away, when eye contact happens across the room more than once, that is recognition. That is attention. As the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think. That calm indifference creates magnetism. People notice it immediately. Modern life is loud and chaotic. Most men walk into a room carrying tension, distraction, and the need for approval. But the man who practices old Stoic wisdom walks differently. His shoulders are relaxed. His movements are unhurried. His eyes are clear. He is not hunting for validation. He is observing the world with an iron mind. And that difference is visible. People look because they sense stability. They sense self-command. They sense a man who is comfortable in his own skin. In psychology, this is sometimes called tracking behavior. When someone notices you, looks away, then checks again to see if you noticed, curiosity is forming. Attraction rarely arrives with fireworks or grand gestures. It appears quietly. A glance across the room, a second look, a moment of eye contact that lasts just a fraction longer than normal. That moment matters. As the Stoic teacher Epictetus advised, make the best use of what is in your power. What is in your power is not forcing attention. It is cultivating presence. Stand straight. Move slowly. Speak clearly. Be the calm center in a noisy world. When you do this, attention begins to orbit you naturally. I once coached a gentleman in his late 50s who believed he had become invisible in social spaces. He assumed younger men received all the attention. But the truth was simple. He entered every room with doubt. Head down. Movements rushed. Eyes scanning nervously for approval. When he began practicing old Stoic wisdom, breathing slower, walking deliberately, holding eye contact without anxiety, something fascinating happened. People began looking at him again, not because he changed his appearance dramatically, because his energy changed. Presence replaced tension. Quiet authority replaced hesitation. This is the lesson Stoicism teaches again and again. Attraction begins with inner order. When your mind is steady, your body reflects it. When your thoughts are disciplined, your movements become composed. That composure signals value. That signal draws attention. And attention always begins with observation. People look. They look again. They wonder who you are. Do not interrupt that moment by rushing or reacting awkwardly. Do not chase the gaze. Hold your ground. Return the eye contact briefly. Then continue your conversation or activity calmly. That is confidence. That is self-command. The philosopher Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Many men imagine they are being ignored when in fact people are quietly studying them. They miss the signal because they are too busy judging themselves. Stop doing that. Develop the iron mind that old Stoic wisdom encourages. Observe the room the way a strategist observes the battlefield, calmly, attentively, without emotional turbulence. When you do this, you begin to notice the small signals others miss, the quick glance, the second look, the moment someone checks whether you notice them noticing you. These are not accidents. These are the first sparks of curiosity. And curiosity is the doorway to attraction. In the world of Stoicism this is a fundamental principle. Control yourself and the environment begins to respond differently. Control your posture. Control your breathing. Control your reactions. Do not fidget. Do not scan the room desperately. Be still. Be deliberate. Be present. Presence is power. Presence communicates that you have nothing to prove and nothing to hide. That quiet certainty is rare today, and rarity always attracts attention. Remember this clearly. People look at what feels stable. People look at what feels grounded. People look at the man who carries an iron mind in a distracted world. When repeated glances begin happening around you, do not dismiss them. Recognize them. They are subtle acknowledgments that your presence has registered in someone's awareness. Attraction does not shout. It whispers. It reveals itself through observation before conversation ever begins. Learn to see those whispers. Train yourself to recognize them. Practice old Stoic wisdom every day. Steady posture, calm breathing, focused attention, and you will discover something powerful. The room notices the man who notices himself. That is the quiet victory of Stoicism. That is the strength of the iron mind. If this message resonates with you, don't ignore it because awareness is the first step to mastery. Attraction often speaks in quiet signals, not loud declarations, and the man who understands these signals moves through the world with calm confidence and clarity. When you notice those quick glances, that subtle double take, that moment when someone looks away and then checks again, understand what it is: recognition, presence, curiosity. So here is your reminder today. Comment this sentence below and make it your mindset. I recognize my presence and I move with quiet confidence. If you believe a man's energy and awareness shape how the world responds to him, drop that line in the comments now, and let's build a community of men who see the signals, trust themselves, and walk into every room with steady confidence. Speech balloon. The seventh sign. How other men respond to you. The seventh sign is often the one men overlook, yet it quietly reveals more about attraction than almost anything else. Watch how other men respond to you. In social groups, human beings instinctively read hierarchy. It happens in boardrooms, at family gatherings, in restaurants, even in casual conversations. And women are remarkably attentive to these dynamics. Female psychology is deeply tuned to social signals, and long before anyone speaks openly about attraction, these signals are already shaping perception. Notice the subtle cues. When other men respect you, they rarely interrupt. They listen when you speak. They ask for your opinion. They introduce you in a positive light. They nod when you make a point. Small gestures, but powerful. Do not dismiss them. These moments communicate social value more clearly than loud self-promotion ever could. That is one of the quiet psychology tricks life constantly reveals. Respect is rarely announced. It is demonstrated in small, repeated behaviors. On the other hand, competition from other men also carries meaning. When someone suddenly tries to dominate the conversation the moment women enter the room, when a man attempts a subtle one-up story, or delivers a joking comment meant to slightly lower your standing, something important is happening. Do not react emotionally. Do not try to outtalk or outshine him. Be calm. Be steady. That behavior is not random. It signals that he perceives you as a rival presence. And interestingly, female psychology registers that signal as well. Women watch how men respond to one another because it gives them information about confidence, stability, and influence. A man who remains composed while others try to compete sends a powerful message without saying a single word. That is another quiet psychology trick at work. Real confidence does not rush to defend itself. It remains grounded. Think about the men you naturally respect in your own life. They rarely chase attention. They rarely try to dominate the room. Yet when they speak, people listen. When they arrive, the atmosphere shifts slightly. That is not coincidence. That is social gravity. And it plays a significant role in how to fall in love as adults. Attraction is rarely created through flashy displays or rehearsed lines. Instead, it grows through emotional signals of stability and calm authority. When other men treat you as someone worth listening to, women subconsciously notice. Their mind registers, this man is valued within the group. That recognition lowers resistance and increases curiosity. It opens the door to connection. Understanding these dynamics is part of mastering psychology tricks that most people never study but experience every day. The goal is not to manipulate. The goal is awareness. Pay attention to the room. Observe the energy around you. Do not fight for status. Do not chase validation. Be the man who listens carefully, speaks clearly, and moves with quiet composure. As the philosopher Seneca once wrote, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. The same wisdom applies to social confidence. The man who is comfortable in himself does not scramble for approval. He allows others to reveal their own reactions. And those reactions often speak louder than any words. In many cases, women begin forming impressions about attraction before a direct conversation even begins. They see how other men greet you. They see whether your presence steadies or unsettles the room. They see whether you remain relaxed when competition appears. These signals guide female psychology far more than scripted flirting techniques. That is why understanding social awareness is essential when learning how to fall in love later in life. Mature attraction grows from emotional security, not performance. So remember this: when you notice respect from other men, acknowledge it quietly. When you notice competition, remain composed. Do not escalate. Do not prove anything. Simply continue being steady. Because the most powerful psychology tricks are not tricks at all. They are expressions of calm self-respect. And when a man carries himself this way, people feel it immediately. Men recognize it. Women recognize it. And without a single word of persuasion, attraction begins to form naturally. The eighth sign. Women assume you have options. The eighth sign. Women assume you have options. You may have heard comments like these before. I can't believe you're single. You probably have women texting you all the time. You must say that to everyone. At first, a man might laugh these remarks off. He might even feel confused by them. But pause for a moment and look deeper. These comments are not random. They're signals. They are reflections of how your presence is being interpreted. When a woman says something like that, she is not necessarily stating a fact. She is responding to an impression you give off. That impression is simple. You appear to be a man who has choices. And in the psychology of attraction, perceived choice carries enormous weight. Don't misunderstand this point. The power here is not about playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. The real signal comes from something much more subtle, non-desperate energy. Desperation has a very recognizable rhythm. It shows up in overtexting, in explaining too much, in chasing responses, in constantly trying to prove yourself worthy of attention. People can feel it instantly. It creates pressure. But abundance energy feels completely different. It is calm. It is patient. It is grounded. A man who carries this energy moves through the world without rushing to secure approval. He listens more than he speaks. He smiles without needing validation in return. That is the quiet signature of a high-value man. He does not behave as though one person's opinion determines his worth. Instead, he behaves like a man who knows his life is already full. And interestingly, this energy often makes women assume something that may not even be true, that you have many romantic options available. Why does this happen? Because human beings are highly sensitive to signals of scarcity and abundance. When someone behaves as though attention is rare, the social brain interprets that as scarcity. But when someone behaves with calm independence, the brain interprets it as abundance. And abundance naturally draws curiosity. Think about it this way. If a man appears relaxed whether a woman chooses him or not, it suggests that his life contains purpose, friendships, direction, and inner stability. That perception alone makes him appear more attractive. It communicates masculine energy without a single word needing to be spoken. That is why phrases like, you must say that to everyone, often appear. The woman senses charm, composure, and ease, so she assumes those qualities must be practiced often. The irony is beautiful. Many men who hear these comments are not juggling multiple romantic interests at all. In fact, they may be living fairly simple lives. But their posture, tone, and emotional independence create the appearance of abundance. And perception shapes social reality more than most people realize. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The same principle applies here. Don't try to convince people you are desirable. Be the kind of man whose lifestyle quietly demonstrates it. Be calm. Be composed. Be someone who values his time. When you cultivate purpose, discipline, and self-respect, you naturally develop the traits of a high-value man. Women notice this immediately, not because you are performing, but because your behavior reflects stability. This is the deeper lesson many men miss. Attraction is rarely created through persuasion. It is created through presence. When a man carries steady masculine energy, he communicates that he has a direction in life that does not depend on chasing attention. That independence is magnetic. It allows him to attract women without forcing the interaction. Notice the pattern. When a man is centered in his own life, people assume he must have options. When a man constantly seeks reassurance, people assume he has none. So don't rush to prove anything. Don't flood conversations with effort. Don't treat attention like something scarce. Instead, build a life that feels full even when you are alone. Pursue your interests. Maintain strong friendships. Take care of your health. Protect your time. These habits cultivate natural masculine energy, and that energy helps you attract women in a way that feels effortless rather than forced. Over time, people begin to sense that you are comfortable in your own world. And once that happens, something fascinating occurs. They begin to imagine that many others must want access to that world as well. That is when the comments appear. I can't believe you're single. You must have women texting you constantly. And in that moment, you will understand something important. The attraction was never created by trying harder. It was created by becoming a high-value man whose calm presence speaks louder than any explanation. All right, my friend, before we close, let me leave you with something important. If you recognize even 2 or 3 of these signs in your life, there is a good chance you are far more attractive than you've been giving yourself credit for. Most men assume attraction is about looks, style, or saying the perfect words. But the truth is simpler and deeper. The real issue is not appearance. It's ownership. It's whether you truly stand behind who you are. Attraction doesn't grow when you try harder to impress people. It grows when you remove the quiet self-doubt that makes you shrink your presence. When that doubt fades, your natural steadiness begins to show. Your posture changes. Your voice becomes calmer. Your energy becomes grounded. And people feel that. So here's the honest advice I want you to remember. Stop chasing validation. Stop trying to convince someone to like you. Instead, focus on standing firmly in your own value. When you embody confidence, patience, and self-respect, attraction becomes a natural byproduct. And always keep this in mind. Attraction is not something you chase. It is something you embody. When you truly understand that, you no longer question where you stand. You simply stand strong, and the right woman will recognize it. Thanks for spending this time with me today. Take care of yourself, stay steady, and I'll see you in the next video. "11 Things Girls Do If They Want You Signs You're More Than Just a Friend." Psychology Tricks. As the writer Antoine de Saint-Exupéry once said, love does not consist in gazing at each other, but in looking outward together in the same direction. Yet before 2 people ever walk in the same direction, attraction usually begins in far quieter ways, through glances, gestures, and small signals that most men overlook. When a woman feels a deeper pull toward you, she rarely announces it directly. Instead, her interest tends to appear through subtle behavior, playful energy, and the way she naturally positions herself around you. In this video, we're going to explore several telling signs women often show when their feelings go beyond simple friendship. These signals may appear in the way she watches you across the room, the way her body language changes when you're nearby, or the way she finds small excuses to be close to you. Some signs are easy to miss, while others quietly reveal a much stronger attraction than you might expect, especially the 5th and 6th signals, which often speak louder than words. If you pay attention, these small details can give you a much clearer picture of where you truly stand. So stay with me until the end, because we're going to unpack these behaviors step by step and help you see what they really mean. Let's begin. 1. Flirtatious touching. Flirtatious touching is often one of the most revealing signals that a woman sees you as more than just a casual friend. It rarely appears loud or dramatic. Instead, it shows up through small, playful moments that feel natural but carry deeper meaning. A light touch on your arm when she laughs. A gentle tap on your shoulder to get your attention. A brief brush against your back as she walks past. These moments may look accidental, but in many cases they are subtle psychology tricks rooted in female psychology, ways people naturally create connection when attraction begins to grow. Pay attention to the timing. Notice the comfort behind the gesture. When a woman feels drawn to you, physical distance often begins to shrink without effort. She leans a little closer during conversation. She stays near even when there is space to move away. That is not random. That is emotional curiosity quietly turning into physical warmth. For example, you might tell a joke and she lightly taps your arm while laughing. It seems playful. It feels harmless. But in the language of female psychology, this is often a way to test closeness without making a direct confession. Another moment may happen when she adjusts something on your shirt or briefly touches your back while guiding you through a crowded room. These gestures are rarely about necessity. They're about comfort. They're about connection. And understanding these subtle psychology tricks can completely change the way you interpret her behavior. Don't dismiss these signals as meaningless. Many men overlook them because they expect attraction to be obvious. It usually is not. Real attraction often hides inside the quiet details of human behavior. That is why learning how to fall in love is not only about grand gestures or dramatic confessions. It begins with awareness. It begins with noticing the quiet invitations people send when they feel safe around you. Be calm when you notice it. Don't rush. Don't immediately overanalyze. Simply recognize what the moment represents. A woman who repeatedly initiates light, playful touch is often showing that she enjoys your presence and feels emotionally relaxed around you. That is important. Comfort always comes before deeper affection. This is a principle many relationship experts highlight when discussing how to fall in love and build genuine connection. That is why these small touches matter more than most people realize. They're part of the silent conversation that happens before words ever catch up. They show curiosity. They show warmth. They show interest. And when these gestures happen naturally, repeatedly, and with ease, they are often one of the clearest psychology tricks used within female psychology to signal attraction. So pay attention to the little things. Be observant. Be present. Because sometimes the difference between just a friend and someone she secretly likes is nothing more than a playful touch that lingers for one extra second. And if you learn to recognize that moment, you will begin to understand the quiet, fascinating ways human connection truly begins. 2. Standing close. Standing close to you is one of the quiet but powerful signals that reveals a woman's interest, and many men overlook it because they expect attraction to be loud or obvious. But real attraction often works through subtle behavior. Watch the distance between you. That distance speaks. When a woman intentionally positions herself near you, especially when she faces you directly, it usually means she feels comfortable, curious, and emotionally engaged. In female psychology, proximity is rarely random. People instinctively move closer to those they feel safe with and interested in. So if she chooses the seat beside you instead of across the table, or she naturally drifts closer while talking, pay attention. That is not coincidence. That is one of those quiet psychology tricks human beings use without even realizing it. The body often reveals what the words are still deciding. Be observant. Don't ignore these small signals. A woman who likes you will often close the physical gap little by little. She might stand slightly closer than necessary when you speak or lean in during a conversation. That lean matters. It shows engagement. It shows curiosity. It shows that she values the moment she is sharing with you. In the language of female psychology, leaning closer is often a sign that she wants to strengthen the emotional bridge between the two of you. And here is something many men miss. When a woman enjoys your presence, she usually will not step back when you naturally move a little closer. Instead, she stays. Sometimes she even adjusts her body toward you, mirroring your posture, your angle, or the direction you face. Mirroring is one of the most powerful psychology tricks in human interaction. When two people begin to mirror each other naturally, it often means comfort and attraction are building. The connection becomes synchronized without either person planning it. That is how chemistry quietly forms. You must understand this clearly. Attraction often grows through comfort first, not intensity. The space between two people shrinking slowly can create a powerful sense of intimacy. Don't rush it. Don't force it. Simply recognize it. When she stands close, she is opening the door to connection. Now, this does not mean every woman who stands nearby is automatically falling for you. Be calm. Be thoughtful. Context matters. But when this behavior appears together with other signals, eye contact, smiling, leaning in, playful conversation, then you are witnessing the early stages of emotional attraction. In female psychology, closeness is often the body's way of saying, I enjoy being here with you. And that is where many men either succeed or fail. Some men panic and overreact. Don't do that. Others ignore the moment entirely. Don't do that either. Be grounded. Be relaxed. A calm presence is far more attractive than forced confidence. Remember this simple principle if you want to understand how to fall in love in a natural, healthy way. Attraction grows in spaces where people feel safe to be close. Emotional closeness and physical proximity often grow side by side. That is why learning to notice these subtle psychology tricks can completely change how you read a situation. Instead of guessing blindly, you start understanding the quiet language of human behavior. And this is especially true when it comes to female psychology. Women often communicate interest through comfort, warmth, and presence rather than direct statements. So when she chooses to stay close during a conversation, when she leans in instead of leaning away, when the distance between you disappears without effort, pause and recognize the moment. That is not accidental. That is connection forming. Be present in it. Don't rush ahead mentally. Don't overanalyze every detail either. Just respond with calm energy and genuine engagement. The truth about how to fall in love is simpler than many people think. Real connection begins with small signals of comfort, shared laughter, relaxed conversation, and yes, even something as simple as standing a little closer than necessary. These subtle psychology tricks are part of how human beings slowly move from strangers to something more meaningful. Learn to notice them, respect them, and when you see them, respond with confidence, patience, and authenticity. Because sometimes, the smallest step closer is actually the first step towards something deeper. And here's the truth most men overlook. When a woman chooses to stand close to you, she's not just filling space. She's revealing comfort, curiosity, and quiet attraction. Proximity is never random. It's a signal. So remember this, attraction often speaks through distance or the lack of it. If you understand that, drop a comment right now. I notice the signals. Like the video, subscribe for more psychology insights, and remind yourself daily, the man who pays attention always sees what others miss. Speech balloon. 3. Softening voice and tone. Softening her voice and tone is one of the quietest signals a woman can send, yet it is often one of the most powerful, and a man with awareness will notice it immediately. Watch carefully. Listen closely. When a woman's voice becomes softer while speaking to you, she is not simply adjusting her volume for comfort. She is shifting the emotional atmosphere of the moment. She is lowering the walls of the conversation. She is creating intimacy. In a noisy room, in a crowded restaurant, or even during a casual exchange, that gentle change in tone draws the interaction inward, almost like she is forming a small, private space that belongs only to the two of you. That is not accidental. Human communication is rarely only about words. Tone carries emotion. Tone carries intention. Tone carries connection. When her voice slows down, softens, or becomes slightly quieter, it often means she feels safe speaking with you and she wants the moment to feel more personal. As the writer Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. A softened voice is about feeling. It signals warmth. It signals comfort. It signals closeness. And a man who lives with an iron mind understands that attraction is rarely loud. It is often subtle, controlled, and deliberate. This is where old Stoic wisdom becomes valuable. The Stoics taught that clarity comes to those who observe carefully rather than react emotionally. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." A calm, attentive man sees these details. He does not chase signals nervously. He notices them. He understands them. He responds with composure. In modern life, where people rush through conversations while staring at phones, many men completely miss these moments. Do not be that man. Be present. Be attentive. Be grounded. If a woman lowers her voice when she speaks to you, hold eye contact. Listen fully. Do not interrupt. Do not rush to impress. The moment itself is already doing the work. A calm presence amplifies attraction more than loud confidence ever could. This is exactly the mindset we teach in Stoicism: win, clarity over confusion, presence over pressure. When you carry an iron mind, you do not panic over signals. You read them with patience and discipline. Remember this rule: attraction often moves toward calm strength. It moves toward emotional steadiness. It moves toward the man who understands human behavior without becoming desperate for validation. And when you combine awareness with old Stoic wisdom, something powerful happens. You begin to see patterns that others overlook. A softer voice, a longer pause, a warmer tone. These are not random changes, they are invitations into emotional closeness. Notice them, respect them, respond with quiet confidence. As Epictetus reminded us, first learn the meaning of what you say and then speak. In other words, understand the moment before reacting to it. That is the path of Stoicism win. That is the power of an iron mind. A man who lives this way does not chase attention. Attention naturally moves toward him. And when you master that level of calm awareness, you are no longer guessing about attraction. You are reading it with precision, with patience, and with the quiet strength that defines a man who truly understands people and life. 4. Licking her lips. Licking her lips is one of those small gestures that many men overlook, yet in the world of human connection, it can quietly reveal powerful signals of attraction. When a woman briefly moistens her lips while speaking with you, especially during moments of eye contact or laughter, it often reflects a subtle mixture of excitement, curiosity, and emotional tension. This is where understanding psychology tricks and female psychology becomes useful, because attraction rarely announces itself loudly, it whispers through body language. Pay attention. Be observant. Do not rush to conclusions, but do not ignore patterns either. When a woman repeatedly draws attention to her lips while talking with you, she may be unconsciously highlighting one of the most expressive parts of the face. That is not accidental. That is communication without words. In female psychology, the lips are strongly connected to intimacy and affection, so small gestures around the mouth often appear when emotional interest is rising. You must understand this clearly. Attraction often reveals itself through comfort mixed with nervous energy. A woman who feels absolutely nothing for you rarely becomes self-aware of her lips. But when she feels a spark, the body begins to react in quiet ways. She might lick her lips when you make eye contact. She might do it while smiling at your joke. She might pause slightly in conversation and briefly touch or wet her lips before speaking again. These are small psychology tricks of the body, automatic signals created by emotional tension and curiosity. Do not misinterpret every gesture as romantic interest, but also do not dismiss the pattern when it repeats alongside other signals. Context matters. Timing matters. When the gesture appears during deep eye contact, playful teasing, or moments where the conversation slows and the energy becomes more personal, the meaning becomes clearer. This is where many men make mistakes. They ignore subtle cues because they expect dramatic signals. But attraction rarely behaves that way. Real connection grows quietly. As philosopher Blaise Pascal once observed, the heart has its reasons which reason knows nothing of. The body often reveals those hidden reasons long before words do. If you are learning how to fall in love wisely and build genuine connection, train yourself to notice these microsignals without becoming obsessive about them. Be calm. Be confident. Do not stare awkwardly at her lips. Instead, maintain relaxed eye contact and continue the conversation naturally. That is the right response. When a woman feels comfortable with you, small gestures like lip licking can also reflect anticipation. She may not even realize she is doing it. Her mind is engaged with you. Her emotions are curious. And her body responds instinctively. In female psychology, attraction is often layered: playfulness, curiosity, a little nervousness, and a sense of possibility all mixing together at once. That is why these signals often appear during moments of laughter or shared focus. She feels the chemistry building, and the body reacts in subtle ways. Understanding these psychology tricks does not mean manipulating anyone. It means learning to read emotional signals with maturity and awareness. The goal is not to chase every hint of attraction, but to recognize when mutual energy is forming. If you notice this gesture occasionally, simply stay present and confident. But if it appears repeatedly along with smiling, leaning closer, sustained eye contact, or playful conversation, then the message becomes clearer. The emotional door may be opening. This is part of learning how to fall in love in a natural, respectful way by observing, responding calmly, and allowing connection to grow without pressure. The smartest men do not force attraction. They recognize it. They respect it. They respond to it with quiet confidence. And often, the smallest gestures, like a simple movement of the lips, can reveal far more than words ever will. If you've ever noticed these small signals and wondered what they really mean, this is your reminder to start paying closer attention. Attraction often speaks in quiet gestures, not loud declarations. A simple movement, a playful look, a moment of nervous excitement, it all reveals more than words ever could. So if this insight helped you see things differently, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more psychology and relationship wisdom, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And drop this line in the comments to lock the lesson into your mind. Attraction whispers through small signals, I pay attention. 5. Inviting you into her space. Inviting you into her space is a quiet but powerful signal. When a woman intentionally leaves the seat next to her open or gently encourages you to move closer, pay attention. That is not accidental. That is communication without words. Human beings guard their personal space carefully, especially around people they do not fully trust. So when she creates room for you beside her, she is doing more than being polite. She is showing comfort. She is showing interest. She is saying, in a subtle way, you belong closer. A woman who likes you will naturally reduce distance. Maybe you're sitting with friends and she slides slightly to the side, making a clear opening. Maybe she turns her body toward you instead of away. Maybe she pats the empty seat next to her and says, sit here. These small gestures are simple, but they carry meaning. Do not ignore them. Watch her body language carefully. When a woman invites you into her space, her posture changes. Her shoulders angle toward you. Her feet point in your direction. Her attention stays with you even when others are speaking. This is not random behavior. This is attraction showing itself through comfort and proximity. And here is the key point. Don't overthink it. Be calm. Be present. Move closer naturally. A high-value man understands signals like these without turning them into pressure. He doesn't rush. He doesn't act desperate. He simply accepts the invitation with quiet confidence. That calm response is what makes a man naturally attract women. Think about it like a campfire on a cool evening. When the warmth feels good, people naturally move closer to the fire. They do not hesitate. They do not question it. They simply lean toward the warmth. Attraction works the same way. When a woman enjoys your presence, she moves closer to your energy. Your job is simple. Maintain steady masculine energy. Stay relaxed. Stay grounded. Do not crowd her. Do not pull away in uncertainty. Just match the moment with calm awareness. Many men miss this signal because they look for loud signs. They expect grand gestures. But attraction often lives in quiet movements. A seat saved for you. A slight shift of the body. A small gesture inviting you closer. That is where connection begins. As the writer Mark Twain once said, actions speak louder than words. In attraction, this truth is undeniable. The invitation into her space is an action that reveals interest far more clearly than long conversations ever could. So here is the rule you must remember. Do not ignore proximity. Do not dismiss small gestures. When she opens space beside her, step into it with confidence. That is how a high-value man behaves. He reads the room. He understands human signals. He stays composed and grounded in his masculine energy. And when you carry yourself that way, you naturally attract women without forcing anything. Calm presence, clear awareness. That is the real power. 6. Head nods and encouraging gestures. Pay attention to the small signals. They rarely shout, but they often speak the loudest. When a woman nods gently while you talk, when she leans in just a little, when she says really or go on, she is not simply filling silence. She is showing engagement, curiosity, and often genuine interest in you as a man. These small, encouraging gestures matter more than most men realize. They are signs of emotional presence, signs that she is listening not just with her ears, but with her attention. In modern life, where people scroll more than they speak and conversations are often rushed, a woman who truly listens stands out immediately. Notice it, respect it, As the writer Stephen R. Covey once said, most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. But when a woman nods, asks questions, and encourages you to continue, she is doing the opposite. She is choosing to understand you. That is powerful. And if you want to become the kind of man women naturally connect with, you must recognize and respond to this moment correctly. Do not rush. Do not dominate the conversation. Be calm. Be clear. This is where old Stoic wisdom becomes practical in everyday life. The Stoics taught that true strength begins with presence and self-control. When you slow down, speak with purpose, and remain grounded, your words carry weight. That is the foundation of an iron mind. Women notice it immediately. They feel it in the rhythm of the conversation. They feel it in your composure. When she nods and encourages you to keep talking, she is opening the door for connection. Your job is simple. Step through it with confidence and clarity. Speak honestly. Share your thoughts without over-explaining. Let silence breathe between sentences. That calm certainty reflects the philosophy behind Stoicism win, a mindset where a man does not chase validation, but naturally attracts respect through composure and depth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That principle applies directly here. Be the man who speaks thoughtfully. Be the man who listens equally well. Be the man whose presence slows the room down. When she mirrors your movements or matches your expressions, that is another signal. Human beings mirror those they feel comfortable with. It is psychology, but it is also instinct. Recognize it, but do not overreact to it. Stay steady. Stay relaxed. This is the quiet strength that grows from old Stoic wisdom and builds the iron mind every mature man needs. In the end, attraction is not always fireworks. Sometimes it is far simpler. A nod, a smile, a woman leaning forward because she wants to hear the rest of your story. That moment matters. Handle it with patience. Handle it with confidence. This is how Stoicism turns ordinary conversations into meaningful connections, and how a man with an iron mind quietly stands apart from the crowd. If you recognize this signal, don't ignore it. When a woman nods, leans in, and encourages you to keep speaking, she's showing attention, respect, and genuine interest in the moment you share together. That kind of engagement is rare, and a wise man notices it. So here's your reminder. Confidence grows when you recognize the signs in front of you. If this message resonates with you, like the video, subscribe for more insights, and drop this sentence in the comments to lock it into your mindset. I recognize real interest, and I respond with calm confidence. 7. Flirtatious smiles. A flirtatious smile is never just a smile. It is a signal, a quiet invitation, a small window into female psychology that many men overlook because they are busy listening to words instead of reading behavior. When a woman feels attracted to you, her smile changes in subtle but powerful ways. It lingers a moment longer than necessary. It feels warmer, more personal. Not the quick, polite smile people exchange with strangers, but something softer and more playful. Watch closely. Notice the eyes. When genuine attraction is present, the smile spreads beyond the lips and lights up her entire face. She holds eye contact. Sometimes she laughs lightly at something that wasn't even that funny. That is not accidental. That is one of those quiet psychology tricks human beings naturally use when interest is growing. Many men miss this moment because they expect attraction to be obvious and dramatic. Don't make that mistake. Attraction often whispers before it speaks loudly. If she smiles at you repeatedly, looks directly into your eyes, then glances down with a shy expression before smiling again, pay attention. That pattern is one of the clearest signals within female psychology that emotional curiosity is forming. She may be testing the atmosphere. She may be wondering whether you notice. And this is where maturity matters. Don't rush. Don't overreact. Be calm. Be present. Return the smile naturally. That is how connection begins. The great philosopher Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, observe carefully what is happening before you. The same wisdom applies here. Understanding attraction is not about manipulation, it is about awareness. When you learn to read these small signals, you begin to understand the subtle rhythm of how to fall in love in the real world. Love rarely begins with grand speeches. It begins with quiet signals. A smile held a little longer. Eye contact that lingers. A moment of shared amusement. These moments may seem small, but they're the emotional sparks that create deeper connection. In fact, many psychology tricks used in attraction are simply natural expressions of comfort and curiosity. The more relaxed and confident you remain, the more those signals appear. Don't chase approval. Don't force chemistry. Instead, create an atmosphere where connection can grow naturally. That is the real lesson hidden inside female psychology. A woman who feels safe, intrigued, and emotionally engaged will often communicate it through warmth before words ever appear. And when you learn to recognize these signs, you begin to understand something deeper about relationships and about how to fall in love itself. Attraction is not complicated when you know what to look for. Watch the smile. Notice the eyes. Pay attention to the small signals most men ignore. Because sometimes, the beginning of something meaningful is hidden inside a single smile that lasts just a second longer than usual. 8. Showing enthusiasm. Showing enthusiasm is one of the clearest and most human signals of attraction, and if you learn to notice it, you will understand far more about a woman's interest than most men ever do. When a woman truly enjoys your presence, her energy changes the moment you walk into the room. Her face brightens. Her smile widens. It is not forced. It appears naturally, almost instantly. You might see her eyes light up, as if something good just arrived. Pay attention to that moment. Do not ignore it. That reaction often reveals more than words ever could. She laughs easily when you speak, sometimes even at jokes that are not particularly clever. That is not because the joke itself is brilliant. It is because she enjoys you. She enjoys the atmosphere you create. She enjoys the feeling of being around your masculine energy. When a woman is curious about you, she asks questions, many questions, about your experiences, your opinions, your hobbies, your plans. She is not simply making conversation. She is exploring who you are. She wants to understand the man in front of her. As the philosopher Marcus Aurelius once suggested, what we do now echoes in the character we reveal. And in these small interactions, her curiosity is revealing something important. Notice how she leans forward when you talk. That small movement matters. Leaning in is a subconscious signal of engagement. It shows attention. It shows interest. It shows she does not want to miss a word. Do not overlook this detail. Many men miss it because they focus only on obvious signals. But attraction often lives in the subtle moments. Sometimes her enthusiasm goes even further. She might suggest doing something together. Maybe it is coffee, maybe a walk, maybe an event she happened to hear about. That is not random. That is investment. When a woman begins creating opportunities to spend time with you, she is opening a door. Be calm. Be aware. That is where a high-value man distinguishes himself. Do not become overly excited or push too fast. Instead, stay grounded in your masculine energy. Enjoy the moment. Let the connection grow naturally. A high-value man understands that attraction is not forced. It is felt. It builds through presence, confidence, and emotional steadiness. When you carry yourself with calm certainty, you naturally attract women without needing to chase attention. That is the quiet power many men overlook. Remember this simple principle. Enthusiasm is rarely faked for long. Real interest creates real energy. When she lights up when you arrive, listens closely when you speak, and looks for reasons to continue the conversation, those are meaningful signals. Do not dismiss them. At the same time, do not rush to conclusions. Observe. Stay present. Be respectful. That is the mindset of a high-value man who understands how to attract women through authenticity and strong masculine energy. Be attentive. Be composed. And most importantly, be the man whose presence naturally invites that enthusiasm to grow. If this message resonated with you, Take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who could benefit from understanding these subtle signals of attraction. When a woman lights up around you, laughs easily, leans in, and shows genuine excitement just to talk or spend time together, it often means your presence matters more than you realize. Enthusiasm is rarely random. It's energy directed towards someone she truly enjoys. So let's turn this insight into a reminder of your own value. Drop this affirmation in the comments and say it with confidence. I recognize genuine interest, and I welcome the energy of people who are excited to be around me. 9. Curious attraction. Curious attraction is one of the clearest signals that a woman sees you as more than just a casual presence in her life. Watch closely. A woman who is intrigued does not sit back in silence. She leans forward. She asks questions. She listens carefully. She wants to know how you think, what you value, where you have been, and where you are going. This is not random conversation. It is intentional curiosity. She might ask about your hobbies, your favorite places, the books you read, or how your day unfolded. She draws you into conversation again and again because she is exploring who you are beneath the surface. Pay attention to this pattern. It matters. If she remembers something small you mentioned days ago, perhaps a story about your work, a place you enjoy visiting, or a goal you quietly shared, and she brings it up again, that is not coincidence. That is attention. That is interest. The philosopher Socrates once said, "Wonder is the beginning of wisdom." In relationships, curiosity is the beginning of attraction. When a woman is curious about your inner world, she is quietly telling you that you matter to her mind, not just to her eyes. And this is where a man must respond with strength and clarity. Do not rush. Do not try to impress with noise and exaggeration. Be calm. Be grounded. Speak with intention. This is where old Stoic wisdom becomes powerful in modern life. The Stoics understood that a man earns respect not by chasing attention, but by holding a steady presence. Your job is simple. Listen. Answer honestly. Share your thoughts with calm confidence. Let your life speak for itself. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That is the standard. Be the man whose life sparks curiosity naturally. When a woman senses an iron mind, when she feels the quiet confidence of someone who knows himself, curiosity grows stronger. She asks more questions. She leans in more. She wants to discover what makes you different from everyone else she meets. In today's fast and distracted world, this type of curiosity is rare and valuable. Most conversations are shallow. Most people talk without listening. But when a woman consistently tries to understand you, she is investing energy in you. Recognize it, respect it, and respond like a man who understands his worth. This mindset is the heart of Stoicism win. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Let your actions and your character speak louder than words. Curiosity will grow when there is something real to discover. Build that life. Strengthen your iron mind. Live the quiet power of old Stoic wisdom. This is how attraction deepens. This is how respect is earned. This is how Stoicism win becomes not just a philosophy, but a way to master life and relationships. 10. Tilting her head. Tilting her head while speaking with you may look like a tiny, almost accidental gesture, but in the language of attraction, it carries surprising meaning. And men who understand these subtle signals begin to see the quiet psychology tricks hidden in everyday conversations. When a woman gently tilts her head while listening to you, she is not simply adjusting her posture, she is signaling attention, curiosity, and emotional openness, and this small movement often appears when someone is fully present in the moment, studying your words, your tone, even your confidence, because in female psychology, body language often speaks louder than direct statements, and the tilt of the head softens her expression, making her appear warm, receptive, and interested in what you are saying. Pay attention to the context. Does she tilt her head while maintaining eye contact, while smiling, while leaning slightly closer? That combination matters because when these signals align, the message becomes clearer. She feels comfortable with you. She enjoys the interaction, and she is allowing herself to connect emotionally. Notice another subtle detail as well. The gesture naturally exposes the neck, one of the most sensitive areas of the body, and in the language of human interaction, this is often a sign of trust and ease, not something done unconsciously around someone who makes her feel guarded. This is where many men misunderstand attraction because they search for dramatic signals while ignoring the quiet ones, yet real connection often grows through these gentle moments, the brief pauses, the attentive listening, the slight tilt of the head that says, without words, I'm interested in you, and understanding these signals is one of the most practical psychology tricks any man can learn. However, you must stay grounded. Don't rush to conclusions. Don't assume one gesture guarantees romantic interest. Instead, observe patterns because attraction in female psychology usually reveals itself through repetition, through clusters of signals that appear again and again during conversations. Be calm, be attentive, be present. Because presence is powerful, and when a man carries himself with relaxed confidence, he naturally creates the emotional space where curiosity grows, where comfort deepens, where the quiet process of how to fall in love slowly begins. Remember this. Attraction rarely arrives with loud announcements. It shows up in soft gestures, in warm eye contact, in the subtle tilt of a head that invites deeper conversation. Don't overanalyze every movement, but do sharpen your awareness. Because learning these psychology tricks is not about manipulation, it is about understanding human connection. Respect the signals, stay authentic, and let the interaction unfold naturally. Because when two people feel comfortable enough to listen closely, smile easily, and lean toward each other in conversation, that is often the first quiet step in the beautiful and complex journey of how to fall in love, and men who understand the rhythms of female psychology recognize that these small moments, repeated over time, are often the earliest signs that a simple conversation may be turning into something far more meaningful. If this insight opened your eyes, take a moment to support the channel. Like the video, share it with a friend who might need this wisdom, and subscribe for more powerful insights about attraction, confidence, and understanding human behavior. Small signals often reveal the biggest truth, and the more you notice them, the more clarity you gain in your relationships. Now here's something important. When a woman tilts her head toward you, smiles, and gives you that warm, attentive look, it often means she feels comfortable and genuinely interested in the connection you're building. That moment of openness is not random. It reflects attention, trust, and curiosity about you. So let's turn that idea into a powerful affirmation for you. Drop this in the comments to lock it into your mindset and show the community you're paying attention to the signals around you. I recognize real interest, and I attract genuine connection. Write it in the comments right now. 11. Nervous gestures. Nervous gestures are one of the quiet signals many men overlook, yet they often reveal far more than bold words ever could. When a woman feels a spark of attraction, her body sometimes reacts before her mind has time to control it. You might see her playing with her hair, lightly adjusting her sleeve, or fidgeting with something in her hands. These are not calculated moves. They are small, almost involuntary reactions created by the nervous excitement of being near someone who matters to her. Do not dismiss these moments as meaningless habits. Pay attention. That subtle movement may be her silent way of saying, "Your presence affects me." When she glances down for a second, taps her fingers, or shifts slightly in her seat, it can signal that she is aware of you in a deeper way. That is the nervous energy that often appears when attraction begins to grow. Now here is where many men misunderstand the situation. They assume nervousness means discomfort. Not always. Often it means anticipation. Think about the feeling before giving an important speech or meeting someone you admire. Your heart moves faster. Your hands might not stay completely still. Attraction works in a similar way. A woman may suddenly become more conscious of how she looks, how she moves, or how she speaks. That is why you might see her adjust her hair, straighten her posture, or briefly look away before returning eye contact. She wants to make a good impression. She wants to appear natural. Yet the excitement beneath the surface reveals itself through those tiny gestures. Be calm when you notice this. Do not rush. Do not overanalyze every motion. A high-value man understands that attraction grows best in a relaxed space. When you remain composed and grounded, your calm presence balances her nervous energy. That is powerful. That is masculine confidence in action. Your masculine energy does not need to be loud or forceful. It is steady. It is patient. It allows her to feel safe enough to relax and express herself naturally. Remember this simple truth. Women are often highly aware of how they are perceived when they like someone. That awareness creates those little nervous movements. The more she cares about the interaction, the more those subtle signals may appear. So if you notice her touching her hair, adjusting her bracelet, or briefly looking down before smiling again, do not assume she is uninterested. Quite the opposite. Sometimes those tiny moments reveal that she is trying to manage the excitement of being around you. But you must handle this wisely. Do not pressure her. Do not stare intensely or comment on every little movement. Be centered. Smile lightly. Keep the conversation flowing. That is how a high-value man behaves. He reads the room. He understands emotional signals. He knows how to attract women without forcing attention. And here is the deeper lesson. Attraction is rarely loud in the beginning. It lives in the details. The quiet smile, the slight nervous gesture, the playful glance that appears and disappears in a second. When you carry calm masculine energy, you create a space where those small signals naturally grow into stronger connection. That is how men who truly attract women move through the world. They do not chase approval. They create comfort. They stay present. And in that presence, attraction quietly unfolds. All right, my friend, that brings us to the end of today's video. I truly hope this helped you see things a little more clearly. Women don't always come right out and say what they feel. Very often, their actions do the talking. A smile that lingers a little longer. A head tilt while she listens. The way she leans in when you speak. Small signals, but powerful ones. Here is the honest advice I want you to remember. Pay attention to behavior, not just words. Most men miss great opportunities simply because they overlook the quiet signals right in front of them. Don't rush. Don't overthink. Just stay present, observe, and respond with confidence and respect. When you start noticing these subtle gestures, the whole dynamic between men and women becomes much clearer. And remember this, confidence grows from awareness. The more you understand these signals, the easier it becomes to connect naturally. If this video gave you a useful perspective, take a moment to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more insights like this. Thanks for spending a few minutes here with me today. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Five subtle signs she's into you, old Stoic. Psychology tricks. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about something many men sense, but struggle to understand, the quiet signals of attraction. Have you ever felt like a woman might be interested in you, yet you couldn't quite explain why? Maybe she seemed engaged one moment and distant the next. Moments like that leave many men confused. The truth is, attraction rarely announces itself loudly. More often, it appears through small gestures, subtle expressions, and quiet shifts in behavior that most people overlook. As the philosopher Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, what we do now echoes in eternity. The same idea applies to human connection. Small actions often reveal deeper intentions. In this video, we're going to explore 5 subtle signs that can reveal when a woman is genuinely interested in you. These signals are not random habits or coincidences. They come from deeply rooted patterns in human psychology and emotional communication. Many men have witnessed these behaviors before, but never fully realized what they meant. By the time you finish this video, you will begin to see these signals differently. More importantly, you'll understand why they happen. That understanding alone can completely change the way you approach conversations, dating, and relationships. And this topic matters more than many people think. Recognizing attraction is not simply about romance. It is about awareness, respect, and emotional intelligence. When you understand these cues, you avoid unnecessary confusion. You stop guessing. You respond with calm confidence rather than hesitation. Let me ask you something. Have you ever experienced a situation where a woman seemed fully engaged, leaning closer, smiling, maintaining eye contact, and then suddenly appeared distant or reserved? Many men interpret this as mixed signals. In reality, women often communicate interest through nonverbal behavior rather than direct statements. Learning to read these behaviors opens the door to a completely different level of connection. To understand these signals, we need to start with the psychology behind attraction itself. Throughout human history, women have naturally paid attention to qualities that suggest stability, presence, and emotional reliability. This doesn't simply refer to physical strength. More often, it reflects traits such as calm confidence, attentiveness, and the ability to create a sense of safety in conversation. Here is something many men misunderstand. While men are often influenced strongly by visual attraction, women tend to respond more deeply to emotional and psychological experiences. In simple terms, what often matters most is not the car you drive or the watch you wear. What matters is the way a woman feels when she is around you. When a woman feels respected, understood, and emotionally comfortable, something powerful happens. A deeper level of attraction begins to form, one that goes beyond appearances. But attraction can also be subtle and complex. Women rarely announce their feelings directly. Instead, they reveal interest through patterns of behavior. A single gesture may mean nothing, but when several small signals appear together, they begin to tell a much clearer story. This is why awareness is so important. When you learn to recognize the difference between friendliness and genuine attraction, you move through social situations with far greater clarity. You stop overthinking. You stop misreading the moment. And that's exactly what we're about to explore. In just a moment, we'll reveal the first of these 5 subtle signs, and once you see it, you may realize you've noticed it many times before without understanding what it truly meant. Sign 1. Genuine eye contact. Genuine eye contact is one of the oldest and most revealing signals in human connection, and if you pay attention, you will see it long before words ever reveal the truth. A woman who feels drawn to you often communicates it first through her eyes. Have you ever noticed her holding your gaze just a moment longer than normal? Not the quick, polite glance people exchange in everyday conversation, but a steady look that lingers for an extra second. That moment matters. That pause carries meaning. Genuine eye contact is rarely accidental. It is intentional, quiet, and powerful. Often it comes with subtle signs most men overlook: her pupils slightly dilating, her expression softening, a small warmth appearing in the corners of her smile. These details may seem minor, yet they belong to the deeper patterns of female psychology, and they reveal far more than spoken words ever could. Human beings have relied on eye contact to communicate trust and attraction for thousands of years. Long before text messages, dating apps, or modern social rules, the eyes carried the message. They still do. In the language of female psychology, sustained eye contact signals openness, curiosity, and emotional presence. When a woman feels comfortable and intrigued by a man, her instinct draws her eyes back to him again and again. It is a quiet invitation. It says, without speaking, I notice you. I am paying attention. That is why understanding these small signals becomes one of the most valuable psychology tricks a man can learn. Not manipulative tricks, not games, simply awareness. The ability to observe what most people miss. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When a woman's thoughts turn toward you with interest, her eyes reveal it first. Watch carefully and you will see it. But here is the critical point many men misunderstand. Recognition alone is not enough. You must respond correctly. Do not panic. Do not break the moment by looking away immediately as if you have been caught doing something wrong. And do not stare intensely like you are trying to prove something. Both reactions destroy the natural rhythm of connection. Instead, be calm. Be steady. When she holds your gaze, you must meet it with relaxed confidence. Hold eye contact for a moment. Let your expression remain warm. Add a natural smile, not forced, not exaggerated, simply genuine. This simple response tells her something powerful. You are comfortable with connection. You are not intimidated by presence. You understand the silent language of attraction. That is one of the most overlooked psychology tricks in social interaction. Confidence is rarely loud. It is quiet. It appears in the ability to stay present in a simple moment. Many men believe attraction is built through clever lines or dramatic gestures, but the truth is simpler. Attraction often grows through small moments of recognition. Two people sharing a glance. Two people noticing each other. Two people allowing the moment to breathe instead of rushing past it. When you understand female psychology, you begin to realize that connection often develops through these subtle exchanges. It is not about impressing. It is about presence. Eye contact creates a brief bridge between two people. When she holds that bridge open, your role is simple. Walk across it calmly. This is also why eye contact plays a major role in how to fall in love. Love rarely begins with grand declarations. It begins with attention, with noticing, with two people feeling seen. A meaningful gaze communicates something deeper than attraction alone. It signals emotional awareness. It says, "You're here. I am here. Let us share this moment." That shared awareness forms the early foundation of closeness. Do not underestimate its power. Another important detail is consistency. Genuine interest rarely appears as a single glance. You will often notice a pattern. She looks at you when you are speaking. She looks again when the conversation pauses. Sometimes she looks, then briefly looks away, then returns her gaze. These rhythms are not random. They are part of natural female psychology. Curiosity pulls attention back. If you begin noticing these patterns, you are already observing one of the most effective psychology tricks in human interaction, paying attention to repetition. A single signal may mean nothing. Repeated signals create meaning. But remember this important rule. Do not overanalyze. Do not turn every glance into a complicated mystery. The purpose of understanding these signs is not to create anxiety. It is to create awareness. When you notice genuine eye contact, simply acknowledge the moment. Stay calm. Stay natural. Continue the conversation. Presence matters more than performance. Seneca once said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." In social life, awareness is preparation. Recognizing subtle signals prepares you to respond when opportunity appears. That is how simple moments turn into meaningful connections. That is how conversations evolve into attraction. And that is often the first quiet step in how to fall in love. So remember this clearly. Do not ignore the eyes. They rarely lie. When a woman's gaze lingers, when warmth appears in her expression, when she meets your eyes with openness, something important is happening beneath the surface. Notice it. Respect it. Respond with calm confidence. Be steady. Be present. That is the difference between the man who misses opportunities and the man who understands the silent language of attraction. And when you begin recognizing these patterns of female psychology, when you learn these subtle psychology tricks, you start to see that connection is not complicated at all. It is simply two people recognizing each other in a moment of honest attention. That moment begins with the eyes. Sign 2. Subtle touches. One of the quietest signals of attraction is also one of the most powerful. Subtle touches. They appear small, almost accidental, easy to dismiss if you are not paying attention. Yet in human interaction, touch often reveals what words carefully hide. A light brush of her fingers against your hand during conversation. A brief tap on your arm when she laughs at something you say. Her hand resting on your shoulder for a moment longer than necessary. On the surface, these gestures seem casual, even harmless. But look closer. These are not random movements. They're invitations. Quiet signals that she feels comfortable enough to close the physical distance between you. Many men overlook this moment completely. They focus on words, on logic, on trying to decode every sentence she says. But attraction rarely lives in language. It lives in behavior. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." The same principle applies here. Attraction is embodied, not announced. A woman who feels drawn to you rarely says it directly. Instead, she communicates through small actions that reveal trust, curiosity, and emotional openness. Think about it carefully. Touch is one of the most ancient forms of human communication. Long before words existed, people used physical contact to show safety and connection. From a psychological perspective, touch activates emotional bonding mechanisms in the brain. It lowers tension. It increases familiarity. It builds a sense of closeness faster than conversation alone ever could. That is why subtle touches matter so much. They are rarely planned. They are instinctive. When a woman lightly touches your arm while making a point, she is not just emphasizing a sentence. She is testing emotional proximity. She is quietly asking, "Do you feel this connection too?" But here is the critical part most men miss. Do not panic. Do not overanalyze. Do not jump to conclusions. And above all, do not react in a way that breaks the natural rhythm of the interaction. The goal is not to force anything forward. The goal is awareness. Calm awareness. A high-value man does not scramble when attraction appears. He notices it. He respects it. He responds with quiet confidence. Imagine a conversation at a cafe. She laughs and lightly touches your forearm for half a second. That moment is information. Nothing more. Nothing less. A signal that she feels comfortable stepping into your personal space. Your response should mirror that same calm energy. Perhaps later in the conversation, when making a point, you briefly touch her shoulder in the same relaxed, natural way. No exaggeration. No dramatic gesture. Just a simple reflection of the connection already present. This is important. Mirroring is powerful. Humans instinctively feel closer to people who subtly mirror their behavior. Psychologists call this behavioral synchrony. Stoic wisdom would simply call it harmony. When two people move in rhythm, comfort grows. Attraction deepens. But remember this rule. Never rush. Attraction grows best when it feels effortless. A man who tries too hard immediately destroys the atmosphere. You must stay composed. Stay grounded. Be relaxed. Let the interaction breathe. That calm presence is what people often describe as masculine energy. It is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is steady, controlled, and reassuring. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." In modern terms, this means something very practical. Do not perform confidence. Embody it quietly. When you carry yourself with calm certainty, you naturally attract women because you create an environment where they feel safe expressing interest without pressure. Now consider the deeper layer of these subtle touches. Often they happen when a woman is emotionally engaged in the conversation. She laughs at your joke. She touches your arm. She tells a story and briefly rests her hand near yours on the table. These gestures are not only about physical attraction. They're about emotional alignment. She feels comfortable enough to let her guard down. And that is exactly why your reaction matters. If you become stiff, awkward, or overly analytical, you break the flow. If you suddenly escalate physical contact too aggressively, you also break the flow. The correct response lives in the middle. Calm awareness. Gentle reciprocity. That balance signals maturity. This is the mindset of a high-value man. He does not chase validation. He observes. He responds thoughtfully. He understands that connection grows through subtle exchanges rather than dramatic gestures. There is also another important reason women use subtle touches. They're a low-risk way to test chemistry. Directly stating attraction carries social risk. But a light touch? That can easily be dismissed if the other person reacts poorly. It allows her to explore the possibility of closeness without fully exposing herself to rejection. So if you notice this behavior, understand what it means. She is opening a small door. Your job is not to kick it wide open. Your job is simply to step through it calmly. Be relaxed. Be attentive. Maintain eye contact. Continue the conversation naturally. When the moment feels appropriate, mirror the energy she has already created. This quiet synchronization is how emotional tension transforms into romantic tension. Men who understand this dynamic often appear effortlessly attractive, not because they are trying to impress anyone, but because they move with emotional intelligence. They sense the rhythm of interaction and respect it. That is the essence of authentic masculine energy. Another key point: subtle touches almost always appear repeatedly when genuine interest exists. A single accidental brush may mean nothing, but patterns reveal intention. If she frequently finds small ways to make contact, touching your arm during stories, brushing your hand while walking, adjusting something on your jacket, pay attention. Human behavior rarely repeats without purpose. At that point, the connection is already forming beneath the surface. Words may still be casual. The conversation may seem ordinary, but the body language is telling a deeper story. Still, discipline is essential. Stoicism teaches emotional control for a reason. If you react impulsively, you risk disrupting the very connection you are trying to build. Stay centered. Let things unfold naturally. Remember this principle: attraction grows strongest in the presence of calm confidence. A high-value man does not force chemistry. He creates space for it. His presence feels grounded. His reactions are measured. His attention is genuine. That combination naturally helps him attract women without manipulation or pressure. In the end, subtle touches are not dramatic signals. They are quiet invitations, small bridges between two people exploring whether deeper connection exists. When you recognize them, respond with awareness. Be respectful. Mirror the energy. Maintain composure. Do that consistently, and something remarkable happens. The interaction begins to feel effortless. The conversation flows. The distance between two strangers slowly dissolves. And that is when attraction stops being a mystery and becomes something far simpler: two people recognizing the same quiet signal at the same time. If you caught that signal, you're already ahead of most men. Because subtle touches are never random, they're invitations. Quiet signals of comfort. Small bridges she builds to see if you'll meet her halfway. And a man who understands these moments doesn't rush, but he doesn't ignore them either. He stays calm, present, and aware. So if you're the kind of man who notices the little signals and responds with confidence, drop this in the comments right now: I notice the signs, and I respond with calm confidence. Like the video, subscribe for more timeless wisdom, and remember, the strongest connections often begin with the smallest touch. Sign 3. Active listening and engaged responses. Sign 3 is one of the most overlooked signals in modern dating, yet it may be the clearest window into a woman's true interest: active listening and deeply engaged responses. Many men search for dramatic gestures or obvious flirtation, but old Stoic wisdom reminds us that truth often lives in the quiet details. Watch carefully. Notice the subtle shifts. When a woman leans slightly toward you as you speak, when she nods gently as if absorbing every word, when she mirrors your gestures without even realizing it, these are not random movements. These are signals of attention, signals of curiosity, signals of connection. You might notice she asks thoughtful follow-up questions instead of letting the conversation fade. You might see her laugh at your joke just a moment longer than expected, not because the joke itself was extraordinary, but because she is enjoying the moment with you. These small reactions reveal something powerful. She is present, fully present. And presence is rare in the modern world where phones buzz, screens glow, and attention drifts constantly from one distraction to another. When a woman chooses to focus on you despite all the noise around her, she is telling you something without saying a word. She values the interaction. She values the exchange of ideas. She values the energy you bring into the room. The ancient Stoics understood this principle long before modern psychology confirmed it. As the philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." That is not just advice for communication. That is a blueprint for connection. A woman who is attracted to you will often reveal it through listening more deeply than others do. She leans forward because your words matter to her. She maintains eye contact because your thoughts hold her interest. She asks questions because she wants to understand the person behind the words. This is not performance. This is engagement. And engagement is the foundation of attraction. Modern psychology explains that when people feel emotionally drawn to someone, their brain naturally increases focus and attentiveness toward that person. Their curiosity grows. Their desire to understand grows. Their attention sharpens. In other words, attraction often expresses itself through concentration, through listening, through presence. Now, here is where many men make a crucial mistake. They notice this engagement, but instead of matching it with calm confidence, they begin to overperform. They talk too much. They try too hard to impress. They rush to fill every silence with more words. That is the wrong move. The right move is discipline. The right move is balance. The right move is what old Stoic wisdom has taught for centuries. Remain centered. Remain aware. Remain composed. When she leans in, you lean in slightly as well. When she shares something personal, you respond thoughtfully instead of rushing to your next story. When she asks a question, you answer with clarity and then invite her perspective in return. This creates rhythm. This creates flow. This creates the kind of conversation that feels effortless yet meaningful. Remember, attraction grows in spaces where two people feel heard and understood. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In conversations, the way is attention. Attention becomes the bridge between two minds. When a woman listens closely, she is opening that bridge. Your job is not to overwhelm it with noise. Your job is to walk across it calmly and confidently. Maintain eye contact. Speak clearly. Ask open-ended questions that invite her to reveal more about herself. Ask about what excites her, what challenges her, what inspires her. Then listen, really listen. Because the moment she feels genuinely understood, something powerful happens. Trust begins to form. Comfort grows. Attraction deepens. This is where Stoicism truly applies to modern relationships. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotion. It is about mastering your presence. It is about holding an iron mind, steady, calm, observant. A man with an iron mind does not panic during silence. He does not rush to impress. He does not chase approval. Instead, he listens. He absorbs. He responds with intention. And that calm attentiveness is incredibly attractive because it communicates confidence without arrogance. In a world where most people are waiting impatiently for their turn to speak, the man who actually listens stands apart immediately. This is why active listening from her is such a powerful signal. If she maintains that focus on you, if she keeps the conversation alive with thoughtful responses, if she mirrors your energy and stays engaged, she is investing emotional attention in the interaction. And attention is the currency of attraction. Protect that moment. Respect that moment. Match it with equal presence. Do not let your mind wander. Do not glance at your phone. Do not break the rhythm by drifting mentally somewhere else. She will notice immediately if your attention fractures. Engagement must be mutual for connection to grow. When both people lean into the conversation, something rare happens. The interaction begins to feel natural, almost magnetic. Minutes pass like seconds. The environment fades into the background. Two people simply enjoying the exchange of thoughts. That is the space where genuine attraction develops. This is exactly why Stoicism is more relevant today than ever before. Modern dating culture often encourages noise, exaggeration, and constant self-promotion. But the Stoic path teaches something far more powerful: calm clarity, focused presence, quiet confidence. When you cultivate an iron mind, you bring stability into every conversation. You are not trying to prove your worth. You are demonstrating it through your composure, through your listening, through your thoughtful responses. And when she sees that stability, she relaxes. She opens up more. She continues leaning forward instead of pulling away. Remember this principle carefully. Attention creates attraction. If she gives you attention, recognize it. If she listens closely, honor that effort. If she engages deeply, match that depth with your own presence. This is not complicated. It is simply rare. And rarity creates value. The Stoics believed that mastery of self leads to mastery of life. Dating is no different. When you control your focus, When you hold your composure, when you listen with genuine interest, you create a space where connection can flourish naturally. That is old Stoic wisdom in action. Calm mind, clear presence, meaningful dialogue. Practice this consistently, and you will notice something powerful. Conversations become richer, connections become deeper, and opportunities appear naturally. This is how Stoicism manifests in real life. Not through loud displays, not through forced charisma, but through quiet discipline, steady awareness, and the unshakable presence of an iron mind. Sign 4. Playful teasing or flirting. This is where the tone of the interaction shifts from polite conversation into something far more interesting, and if you are paying attention to the deeper patterns of female psychology, you will recognize that playful teasing is rarely random. It is intentional. It is a signal. It is one of those subtle psychology tricks people use without even realizing it. A natural way attraction begins to reveal itself through humor, curiosity, and light tension. When a woman starts teasing you, maybe she jokingly questions your taste in music, lightly challenges your opinion, or mock argues about something completely trivial. She is not creating conflict. She is creating energy. That is the difference most men miss. They hear the words, but fail to read the intention behind them. Teasing is often a safe way for her to test the emotional atmosphere between the two of you. It allows her to create connection without exposing herself too directly. That is how female psychology works in many social situations. Attraction grows through small emotional experiments, little moments of play that reveal whether two people can laugh together, challenge each other, and enjoy the rhythm of interaction. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "It is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages." In the early stages of attraction, playful teasing is one of the earliest signs that friendship and attraction are beginning to blend together. She is testing whether you can move with her energy rather than resist it. That is where many men lose momentum. They take the teasing literally. They become defensive. They try to explain themselves. Don't do that. Be relaxed. Be present. That is the correct response. When she lightly jokes about your drink choice or your favorite sports team, understand the deeper message. She is inviting you into a playful dynamic. The correct move is simple. Smile. Respond with humor. Return the playful tone without turning it into a competition. Remember this rule. Flirting is not a debate. It is a dance. If she says, "You actually like that drink," you don't defend yourself with a long explanation. You simply smile and say something playful back like, "Careful, if you judge my drink choices this early, I might have to judge yours too." Light, confident, effortless. That is how attraction flows. These moments may appear small, but they are powerful signals hidden inside everyday conversation. Many modern relationship experts call them micro-connections, subtle exchanges that reveal whether two people can create emotional momentum together. And if you understand the psychology tricks behind attraction, you will see that teasing is often one of the earliest ways someone begins learning how to fall in love with another person. Love rarely starts with grand gestures. It begins with laughter, with curiosity, with playful tension that slowly builds comfort and excitement at the same time. Think about it. When two people can tease each other gently, they're revealing something important. They feel safe enough to relax. Safety is the foundation of connection in female psychology. A woman who feels comfortable joking with you is showing that her guard is lowering. She is letting you see a more relaxed version of her personality. That is why your reaction matters so much. You must handle these moments correctly. Do not freeze. Do not analyze every word. Do not try to impress her with clever lines. Simply stay present and enjoy the moment. Humor works best when it feels natural. As Oscar Wilde famously said, "Life is too important to be taken seriously." The same principle applies to attraction. When a conversation becomes playful, it means the interaction has moved beyond formality and into something more personal. That is progress. Another key detail to understand is that teasing often serves as a subtle test, not a harsh test, not an uncomfortable one, but a small emotional check to see how grounded you are. She is observing your reaction. Do you stay relaxed? Do you smile? Do you keep the conversation fun? Or do you become tense and overly serious? Your response tells her more than your words ever could. Confidence is rarely about what you say. It is about how you carry yourself in moments of uncertainty. If you remain calm and playful, you demonstrate something extremely attractive: emotional steadiness. And that is deeply appealing in female psychology. Women are often drawn to men who can keep the emotional tone light, who don't panic when conversations shift direction, and who understand the subtle psychology tricks that turn ordinary interaction into connection. Remember this: teasing is not an attack, it is an invitation. Treat it that way. If she playfully challenges you, meet the challenge with humor. If she jokes about something small, laugh and keep the momentum going. Never try to dominate the moment. Never try to prove yourself. Just enjoy the exchange, because that playful rhythm is exactly where attraction grows. Over time, these moments accumulate. One joke becomes another. One laugh becomes a shared memory. Slowly, almost invisibly, the emotional bond begins to form. This is how many relationships quietly begin. Not through dramatic declarations, but through small sparks of playful energy that build familiarity and warmth. That is why understanding these signals is important if you truly want to learn how to fall in love in a healthy, natural way. Attraction thrives when interactions feel light and authentic. If you can laugh together, tease each other gently, and keep the atmosphere relaxed, you create the perfect environment for connection to deepen. The mistake many men make is overthinking every signal. They search for certainty instead of enjoying the moment. But attraction is rarely built through analysis. It is built through shared experience, through laughter, through the simple joy of two people discovering they enjoy each other's company. So when you notice playful teasing, recognize what it really is. It is not random behavior. It is a doorway, a small but meaningful sign that the emotional tone between you has shifted into something warmer, something more personal. Step through that doorway with calm confidence. Smile. Respond playfully. Keep the interaction easy and natural. Because when you understand these subtle patterns of female psychology, when you recognize the quiet psychology tricks hidden inside everyday conversation, you begin to see attraction more clearly. And when you respond with relaxed humor and genuine presence, you show that you are someone who understands the deeper rhythm of human connection. Someone who knows that the journey of how to fall in love often begins with something as simple as a shared laugh across the table. If this opened your eyes, don't just watch, take action. Like the video, subscribe for more timeless wisdom, and join the conversation below. And if you truly understand this sign of attraction, drop this sentence in the comments right now: confidence laughs and playful energy builds the connection. Because the man who understands the language of humor and responds with calm confidence is the man who keeps the spark alive. Sign 5. Prioritizing time with you. When a woman genuinely likes you, one of the clearest signals appears in the way she manages her time. Life is busy for everyone. Work calls, family obligations, endless responsibilities. Yet when a woman is truly interested, she quietly rearranges pieces of her day so that you fit into it. That might look simple on the surface. Maybe she agrees to meet for coffee after a long day. Maybe she suggests a walk on the weekend. Maybe she sends a message just to talk for a few minutes between tasks. Small gestures. But don't underestimate them. These moments are not accidents. They're decisions. And decisions reveal intention. Understand this clearly. Time is one of the most valuable resources any person has. Money can be earned again. Opportunities can return. But time never comes back. So when a woman chooses to spend her time with you, even when her schedule is tight, she is sending a quiet but powerful message: you matter. She sees you as someone worth investing in. Psychologically, people rarely rearrange their lives for someone they feel indifferent about. They make time for what they value. That is human nature. Now listen carefully. Many men overlook this sign because it doesn't always look dramatic. There may be no grand declaration, no obvious confession, just consistent effort. A text asking if you're free later, a suggestion to grab lunch, a simple "let's catch up soon." Don't ignore these moments. Be aware. A man who understands these signals moves through relationships with calm clarity. That is the mindset of a high-value man. He observes actions, not just words. And here is the deeper truth. When a woman prioritizes time with you, she is testing something quietly. She is testing whether your presence feels good in her life. She is asking herself a simple question. Is this man someone I want to see more of? Your response to her effort matters more than you think. Don't dismiss it. Don't act indifferent. And don't take it for granted. Appreciation builds connection. So, how should you respond? First, acknowledge the effort. A simple sentence can carry great meaning. Say something honest. I appreciate you making time for me. That's it. Clear. Sincere. Be a man who recognizes effort. Gratitude is attractive because it reflects maturity and emotional awareness, qualities that naturally attract women. Second, reciprocate with intention. If she sets aside time for you, be present. Put the phone away. Listen carefully. Engage in the conversation. Be curious about her thoughts. Be relaxed. Be confident. That is how masculine energy expresses itself, not through loud words, but through calm presence and attentiveness. Don't rush the moment. Enjoy it. Connection grows in simple spaces. Third, create experiences worth remembering. Suggest meaningful activities. A quiet cafe conversation. A walk through the city. A spontaneous weekend plan. When a man takes initiative with thoughtfulness, it shows direction and emotional stability. These are the quiet traits of a high-value man. They don't shout. They simply exist. And women notice. Remember this principle. Relationships grow through mutual investment. When both people contribute time, attention, and energy, the bond becomes stronger naturally. You don't need tricks. You don't need complicated strategies. You simply need awareness and authenticity. A man who respects time, his own and hers, radiates natural masculine energy. He understands that meaningful relationships are built slowly through repeated moments of shared presence. That is why recognizing this sign matters so much. It reveals genuine interest. It reveals emotional openness. And when you respond with appreciation and confidence, you strengthen the connection effortlessly. So be mindful. When she prioritizes time with you, see it for what it truly is, a quiet invitation to build something deeper. Accept it with grace, led with calm confidence, and continue becoming the kind of man whose presence naturally attracts women, not through force, but through character, awareness, and the steady energy of a high-value man. Common misinterpretations of female signals. One of the greatest mistakes men make when trying to understand attraction is confusing politeness with genuine interest. This is where calm observation matters. This is where maturity matters. Not every smile is a signal of desire, and not every kind word is an invitation. A polite smile, a quick compliment, or a brief friendly reply may simply be good manners. Nothing more. A man guided by old Stoic wisdom understands this immediately. He does not rush to conclusions. He does not build fantasies from small gestures. He studies the full picture. Remember this rule. One signal means little. Patterns reveal truth. A single smile is courtesy. A smile combined with steady eye contact, engaged conversation, and consistent attention begins to show real interest. That is the difference. As the philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. The mature man controls interpretation instead of reacting emotionally to every small behavior. In modern life, where communication is fast, casual, and often misunderstood, this principle is more valuable than ever. Messages, emojis, quick jokes, or friendly banter can easily be misread. Do not fall into that trap. A man with an iron mind watches patterns over time. He observes how she behaves consistently, not just once. Does she return to conversation? Does she invest effort? Does she show curiosity about you? These are the signals that matter. Real attraction shows itself through comfort, attention, and repeated engagement. Everything else is background noise. And here is another powerful rule that many men overlook. Never overanalyze. overthinking destroys presence. Overthinking creates tension. When a man spends every moment dissecting every word, every smile, every pause, he loses the natural flow of connection. Attraction grows in relaxed confidence, not in mental chaos. The Stoics taught clarity of thought and steadiness of character. This is why old Stoic wisdom remains powerful even today. You stay grounded. You observe calmly. You respond wisely. That is the mindset that helps you navigate relationships with dignity and confidence. If uncertainty appears, choose honesty instead of confusion. Ask simple questions. Speak clearly. Something as straightforward as, "I enjoy talking with you. What do you think?" can remove hours of guessing. Directness shows self-respect. Directness shows calm confidence. The writer Epictetus reminded us, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. In dating, what is in your power is your attitude, your composure, and your clarity. Not her reaction, not her mood, not her signals. Focus on what you control. When you carry yourself with this mindset, something remarkable happens. You stop chasing signs. You start recognizing truth. You stop reacting emotionally. You start leading the interaction with calm strength. This is the spirit behind Stoicism win, mastering your reactions so that life never pulls you into confusion. A man with an iron mind understands patience. He understands that attraction is revealed through consistency, not through isolated moments. He stays present. He stays relaxed. He lets the situation unfold naturally. That calm confidence is attractive in itself. That steadiness communicates maturity without saying a word. In fact, the more relaxed and grounded you are, the easier it becomes for genuine signals to appear clearly. People reveal themselves naturally when they feel comfortable, and that is the quiet advantage of living with old Stoic wisdom. You are never rushed. You are never desperate for answers. You simply observe, respond, and continue moving forward with clarity. In the end, the lesson is simple but powerful. Look for patterns, not isolated actions. Stay calm, not reactive. Choose clarity over confusion. Carry an iron mind, practice Stoicism win, and remember that real attraction does not hide forever. It reveals itself through consistent behavior. When you master this perspective, you stop chasing signals and start understanding people. That is how a thoughtful man reads the room, understands the moment, and moves through life with quiet confidence. If this message resonates with you, don't just listen, act with clarity and confidence. A wise man doesn't chase illusions or guess every signal. He reads the situation calmly and moves forward with honesty. So take a moment and join the conversation below. Comment the sentence to remind yourself of the mindset that separates confusion from confidence. I choose clarity over overthinking. If you believe that understanding signals with calm judgment is the path to stronger connections, write that line in the comments. Like the video and subscribe for more timeless wisdom that helps you move through life and relationships with quiet strength. How to respond when you notice these signs. When you begin to notice these subtle signals of interest, the most important thing you must bring into the moment is confidence, calm, grounded confidence that doesn't beg for approval and doesn't rush to impress. Many men see the signs yet hesitate, overanalyze, or second-guess themselves, and that hesitation quietly drains the natural energy of attraction. Don't do that. Be steady. Be present. That is the first principle behind many effective psychology tricks and one of the most overlooked truths about female psychology. When a woman shows small signs of comfort, engaged conversation, genuine smiles, curiosity about your life, she is often opening a door for connection, not handing you a complicated puzzle to solve. Your role is simple. Recognize the invitation. Respond with composure. Attraction grows best when a man appears comfortable with himself and the moment he is in. Don't overperform. Don't rush into proving your worth. Be natural. Speak clearly. Smile when it feels right. Maintain eye contact. These simple behaviors communicate something powerful without a single word. You are secure in who you are. Many experienced relationship thinkers often echo the same idea. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once suggested in his Reflections on Character, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. The same principle applies here. Don't analyze attraction endlessly. Embody calm confidence and let your actions speak. When you notice the signs and the atmosphere feels warm and relaxed, that is your moment to move forward. Not dramatically, not aggressively, simply and clearly. Suggest something you can enjoy together. Invite her for coffee. Mention a place you both might like to visit. A relaxed invitation often works better than elaborate strategies because it shows emotional clarity. This is where many psychology tricks about attraction actually become simple. The real trick is honesty paired with calm presence. In female psychology, emotional safety and authenticity matter far more than rehearsed lines or complicated tactics. If you show genuine interest while maintaining composure, you naturally create the conditions for how to fall in love to unfold organically. Remember this. Don't chase approval. Don't hide behind endless texting or vague signals. Be direct in a respectful way. Say what you mean. Invite connection. This approach demonstrates emotional maturity, and emotional maturity is one of the most powerful attraction signals a man can send. When a woman senses that you are comfortable expressing interest without pressure or drama, she feels at ease responding honestly. That's how genuine connections begin. And here is something many men overlook. The goal is not manipulation. The goal is alignment. The best psychology tricks are simply understanding human nature. Female psychology often responds positively to men who are decisive yet respectful, confident yet relaxed. So when the moment arrives, don't shrink back into uncertainty. Step forward with quiet assurance. Smile. Extend the invitation. Let the interaction flow naturally. If she accepts, wonderful. Now the journey toward how to fall in love can grow through shared experiences and real conversations. If she declines, accept it with the same calm confidence. That response alone shows character. Because in the end, attraction is not about forcing outcomes. It is about presenting your true self with clarity and strength. And when you consistently do that, when you remain steady, authentic, and socially aware, you are already practicing the most effective psychology tricks of all, the kind that align perfectly with both human nature and female psychology, and the kind that quietly open the door for something real to develop into how to fall in love over time. Hello, my friend, and thank you for spending this time with me today. Before we close, let's remember the key lesson together. When a woman is truly interested, the signs are often quiet but meaningful. Genuine eye contact that lingers a little longer, subtle touches that feel natural and comfortable, the way she listens closely to what you say, playful teasing that creates a light and joyful atmosphere, and the effort she makes to spend time with you. These small signals may seem simple, but they reveal a lot about attraction and emotional connection. The real wisdom is this: don't rush, don't overanalyze, and don't force anything. Instead, be calm, observant, and respectful. Pay attention to how people respond to your presence. When interest is genuine, it shows itself through consistent actions, not just words. Focus on building real conversations, mutual respect, and positive energy between you and others. That is how strong and meaningful relationships begin. I truly hope these insights help you see interactions with more clarity and confidence. If this video gave you something useful to think about, feel free to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoy this kind of content, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Take care of yourself, stay confident, and I'll see you in the next video.